Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is David.
I am Windrunner on the Discord, and I did correctly anticipate that I might be second this time.
Hell yeah. So. Also joining us, we have Grace.
I'm thegatorgirl, and I thought I might be second, so now
it was between you two. It was between you two for sure. For sure. Lastly, we have Verónica, whose lighting is terrible, but it's fine. It can't be better currently.
I am Cheyenne Sedai on the Discord and forums, and lighting like this is what happens when you're in a dark room with a forest literally next to like outside of the window.
You don't want me to get you expensive lights that are like enormous. Do you think that'll be difficult to transport between your multiple locations that you record in? Yeah.
We just need to get you like a lasting integrity background. You can be like, coming to you live from Shadesmart. We have Verónica.
I mean, we can get you a green screen. It's just it's hard because you're not in the States, so you know.
That sounds worse to carry around.
Absolutely, 100%. Yes, for sure, for sure. All right, and I'm Chaos, and today, everyone, we are talking about Stormlight 5 predictions. We're recording this in 2023. I don't know if I want to say what month we're recording this in, but it's by the time you see this, it's been a while. So
like a year.
Probably a year. So we don't have the final title for Stormlight 5, so that's why I'm saying Stormlight 5 predictions. I think the working title was Knights of Wind and Truth. Winds and Truth?
Yeah. Which
a truly terrible title.
Yeah, it's Winds and Truth because it's the blank format that I hate. So yeah, I think that's what it is.
Very generic. I don't like it.
It feels built by committee or like focused to get the acronym of the title things, which I just loathe. So hopefully he comes with something better.
So it's Stormlight 5 for this. We do have some readings at the current time. There were the prologue to Stormlight 5 that came out after the year of Sanderson stuff in 2022. Mm-hmm. So there was that. We have 2 Kaladin chapters and 3 Szeth flashbacks. And I will put a link to Arcanum, which has you can read all these things. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, full Cosmere spoilers. Mm-hmm. Cool. So I thought we'd start by going around and just giving everyone a bit of time to talk about what they're excited about for Stormlight 5, because I think the hype is very high for me. So I would love to hear what everyone is excited about.
I'll start with Kaladin. Kaladin, secret second Kaladin book. Sorry, Seth, nobody cares. This will not. No one is going, aside from Alex and 7 other people.
Katie.
Nobody is that excited about Seth. I'm kidding, but I just don't like Seth very much.
That's true.
It's going to be a huge Kaladin book. I personally do expect him to swear the 5th ideal. I think Brandon will do it. I know we'll get into that more later.
Yeah.
But Kaladin is the secret protagonist of Stormlight. We all know it. And he's going to have some awesome stuff to do. And I can't wait to see. I'm excited for a big death. I think we've been waiting for that in Stormlight, and it's been teased a couple times, and I think it's going to happen. Not because I want to see any of our characters die aside from Seth, but because that's usually like that's the high octane like emotional stuff, and I think that they're heading into a pretty serious situation. So
like main character death, POV,
like a main character death.
Yeah, Brandon, I would say usually kills at least one point of view character at the end of the big series. At the end of the series now, we've got a few examples.
It's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of anything else that I'm super excited about. And Ishar. Whatever's going on with Ishar on the stuff like that I am like, whatever it's going to be, I'm really stoked for.
That's the part about Shinovar you're excited about here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not about the grass. We all know what Shinovar looks like.
Grace, what about you?
So I would say I'm excited for, just generally reading it, like the Sanderson Avalanche is probably going to be huge this book, but also like specifically plot lines, I think I'm probably most excited for like Mylara and Deadeye's stuff. Finally getting answers on like the we chose. Will Adolin actually revive Maya and like become an edge dancer?
Hell yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah, that's
Also,
a huge open question.
Yes, also excited to see my boy L on page.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have to see L because we've killed or removed most of the fused antagonists. So it's like our one guy.
L can teach me the passions anytime he wants.
Hell yeah. Nice. I like it. Very good. Veronica.
Yeah, well, I'm going to steal Eric's thunder, and I'm going to say I'm very excited for Bido Mishram and finding out.
Wow.
Like, all the mysteries, like, all the questions that have been left open. But also, I'm probably kind of like one of the few, but I'm also kind of excited to like finally figure out like completely and truthfully with no like big holes missing what in the world is going on with Shallan.
If we don't and she dies, like let's get out some pitchforks, guys. Like that's not okay. That's not okay.
Biggest topic of the next beef episode. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Not okay.
Because
I remember the opening of Stormlight sex, and Shallan's like, another memory.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Boo. Anything else?
I don't know. Like mystery, Shinovari, Shar, like mostly like all the questions that we have. Because like I don't have like so many like concrete predictions. It's more like I want to know about this. I want to know about this. I want to know about like all these things that have been left open.
It's like kind of like the denouement to Rhythm of War a little bit. We'll get in the start of this because as Brandon is wont to, he does end books very quickly after the climax sometimes. And you're like, wait, what about all the falling action and all that stuff? And so sometimes we do get that in the start of a book. So that'll be nice to see.
That reminds me a bit of like Words of Radiance, the beginning of that. Because Words of Radiance is like instantly right after Way of Kings. And so like we get sort of like, what is the status quo? And then like, Shallan talking with Yasna about, all the things that we wanted to know in Way of Kings, right? Just like right in her first chapter. So I think that is very much a thing. And I think important to know, Brandon plotted and outlined book 4 and 5 at the same time. Together. He's never done that for a Stormlight book. So I think we'll have some continuity. That's good there. Because sometimes there's been some interesting turns that are like that. Would you have written the end of the last book like this if you knew that this is what this book was doing? So we're gonna ignore what Veronica said just for a second, and because you took my thunder a bit. But so, all right, everyone, I'm excited, and I think if you're new to the show, welcome. Hi. If you don't know, there are 3 very important women in my life. One, of course, is my darling wife, Jessie, of course. 2 is one of my 2 cats, who's female, Aona. She's adorable. She eats my feet. And 3, the one I've actually known the longest of these 3. True story.
No,
I've known everything there is to know, Grace. Is Ba Ado Mishram. Hell yeah, I am the biggest Ba Ado Mishram fan. If you believe you are a bigger Ba Ado Mishram fan, put your comments below. I'd love to chat with you, and I'm not jealous because she can connect with a whole bunch of people. That's fine. That's all good. We're good. It's good. So I just really want to know what's going on with her. In case you missed it, she was responsible for the false desolation connected with all the singers, and her imprisonment made the singers lobotomized, and apparently made it so Deadeyes are like this, in which the Radiants did not know that Deadeyes Like when they broke their oaths, that this is exactly what would happen. They didn't know that, which was one of Rhythm of War's craziest things. Go watch our Bottom Mishram and the Recreants episode. That was a good episode. One of our longest, too. So I'll see you after November 24 for our 4-hour Bottom Mishram Stormlight 5 episode. They probably won't be 4 hours.
It's gonna be Eric's gonna be scheduling, and it's gonna be like, so when are we doing Stormlight 5 reactions? He's like, after Bottom Mishram. We have to record that one first.
Look, I'm the scheduling guy. It will be high on the list. let's be honest. It will be. Because it's also gonna be really sweet, because there's a lot of mysteries. And I want Bottom Mishram to be such a badass. Oh, this is one of the Unmade, right? There's allegedly a high princess of the Voidbringers. Who knows what that means? Could just be referring to the False Desolation. I don't know. But, so I do have a theory with Bottom Mishram. And I think she is not going to be happy with being imprisoned and like maybe be crazy. And I think that's going to go very badly for whoever frees Bottom Mishram, and if the Ghost Bloods do, then maybe Race just instantly dies.
That would be so funny.
That would actually be really good, actually. If maybe Shallan instantly dies.
Battle over again.
Yeah. Because I think this is a weird example, but in the webcomic Schlock Mercenary, there was an AI who basically it was essentially tracked for like the equivalent of thousands of years, and when was freed was completely insane and was a massive antagonist and one of my favorite characters. That was amazing. And Brandon can do that here. It can't be good being in a gemstone for 2,000 years. There's no way that's good. Like I'm sure she was such a badass 2,000 years ago, but just think how much hatred she'll have. Like the heralds were involved. Is she gonna like just like straight up attack and like try and kill a herald instantly? Like that'd be sweet. We got to know about that. That's my thing with Bottom Mishram, and you'll know if Bottom Mishram stuff is good if I rate the book 10 out of 10. There are 2 ratings for Stormlight 5. 10 out of 10, Bottom Mishram was great. 0 out of 10, it sucked. There's only 2. Don't care about anything else. That's not true. I do. But also,
less.
Yeah, look. Yeah. I don't think there's any situation where I rate the book a 10 out of 10 and the Bottom Mishram stuff is disappointing, because I will talk for probably 30 minutes in our reaction episode on how this is why I'm disappointed with Bottom Mishram. That's
gonna be like a full hour.
maybe. But I think it's gonna be great. I've seen all the clues, guys. I've seen all the clues. It's gonna be like this. It's gonna be so good. She's gonna be so badass. You think Shallan's scary? Bottom Mishram's gonna be a whole nother level. Shallan can't connect with every singer on the planet. Bottom Mishram can. She's badass. We gotta know what happened there. It's gonna be sweet. Hell yeah. Anyway, that's my spiel. Thank you for listening. We're done with the episode. Bye, guys.
When you said 3 different women, I thought you were going to say Ba, Otto, and
that would have been pretty good too. But it's true. I started dating my wife in 2018 and Bottom Mishram 2017. I was on that train in Oathbringer, and I got all the clues there. Ha!
That was really one where it was, can you piece together what's happening in the epigraphs?
Absolutely, yeah. It was really subtle there. Rhythm of War made it a lot more clear for people who aren't me who did that. Like, other people did, but awesome. So, maybe we should talk about... There's so much to talk about, guys. We're going to go through every character and talk about our thoughts about what's going to happen. But like, I think we should talk a bit about structure, because Rhythm of War talked about there's 10 days, right? How's that gonna look in like the book?
10 days just feels like such a short time for a Stormlight length book, even with all the characters. It's like, yeah, I mean, I suppose if they're like doing stuff sunrise to sunset every single one of those 10 days, then it could stretch that far. It just feels like a lot.
Like, I don't even know how Shallan and Adolin could get back in 10 days. Like, that I don't get.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But also,
it'll be a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like 10 days is very little, but I've also heard... Wasn't there like a book that was like up for like the National Book Award or the Man Booker or one of those? Like in 2017, that was like what, all like like everything that happens in like 6 seconds or a day, or like some ridiculously short time frame, and the book was like 400 pages long. So it is a very long book, but it all happened in such a short time, which like that may be the case for this too, and in that case 10 days isn't that little. But I don't know, there's so much that needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, and like logistically, that's what I sometimes wonder about is I'm like, I mean, they have the oath gates and whatnot, and that's helpful, but like moving pieces around on the board and like travel times of stuff, 10 days is very short. I mean, it's not clear what's going to be happening in that way.
Yeah.
Although to me, the implicit promise of the end of book 4 was book 5 is going to be most of these 10 days. I kind of lean more towards that this will be maybe 11 days if you get the day afterward too, to like, because I assume he's going to have a slightly longer wrap up like he did with the Lost Metal, since this is kind of the end of a series, kind of not.
Yeah.
Where he wants to kind of wrap things up a little more firmly while we wait 15 years for book 6. But just kidding, it'll only be 10.
It's true though. It's true.
But I can also see it like happening, like 10 days being like the first 3 parts or something.
Yeah.
I think it'll be most of the book.
I do feel like also though this would not be the first time in a Stormlight book we thought something was going to be the entire plot, and then it was like the first part or like the first 3 parts or something like that, or like the first 2. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. That's true for sure.
No Springer was that. So.
Oh my god. Man, you know what we should do for a video? Just like top moments in Stormlight, and just like, hey, I'm Odium, what's up? I'm here. Like, God, that was crazy. I am a believer of the book is almost all the 10 days. Like, if you think about, there's tons of books that happen in a single day that are plenty long. Like, just read any Dresden book. It's Harry's worst day of the year. Like, and those books are beefy, and we have way more characters. So, like, there's stuff to do. I'm definitely worried about travel time and stuff, but Brandon said this is going to be more of Words of Radiance Oathbringer style plotting, where we get like a big climactic thing that happens. And I think it would be weird if that wasn't the Contest of Champions. Like, we could have that and then have something else that's unexpected. Like, I think that could happen. But he might be just doing a thing where the pacing is high. I don't know how, like, that could get exhausting if you have the pacing of Stormlight be so high, because it's so long. And apparently maybe one of the longest books. So I'm a believer of stuff's going to happen. The big climax is going to be Contest of Champions stuff. And that's going to be massive and huge. And then I think we're going to get kind of a lengthy epilogue. Way of Kings actually had kind of a long epilogue, because in Way of Kings, that's the unusual Stormlight book. Part 5 is kind of epilogues in a sense after Battle of Tower. No other Stormlight book's done that. So I could anticipate like a pretty lengthy section of epilogues after the contest and whatever dramatic thing and deaths happen there. That's my thought. I'm not a believer in part 1 is the first 10 days, because no. We're just not going to have a lot of time passing. And like, I think there's going to be this aspect of, well, there's only 3 days remaining, and like, oh crap, there's a lot to do. And I imagine the characters will feel like that too, right?
Yeah. I don't think whatever happens, it will be months. Like, I don't think that we'll get like the first 10 days and then like, you know how like in Oathbringer, like weeks go by where Kaladin is like training the Windrunners before he goes to Kolinar. Like, I don't think we're gonna like Contest of Champions part 3, and then part 4 is like 8 weeks going by. You know, like I think it's gonna be pretty condensed.
Yeah. I can imagine like some of the epilogues, like kind of like Lost Metal, where they were like set like months later. Like, I can imagine something like that. Like, maybe he's been thinking about something like that.
And I view epilogues as being like kind of their own thing, but
Sure,
like the
sure,
main body of the book.
It's why they're called epilogues. It's not the last chapter.
Well, Brandon often uses it as the last chapter. Not in Stormlight.
Well, yeah.
Not in Stormlight, but like Mistborn, kind of. He does kind of do that.
Do you guys have any thoughts on like interlude through line?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, let's talk about that.
L's
L's a
Maybe
good
no
idea.
That would be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it's a fun one.
L's a good one.
I was wondering about maybe like a Moash through line where it's like now that he's blind off doing
Moash.
something else.
What's going on with Moash? Yeah.
He's the other one that stands out in my mind, Grace, as being someone that we probably want to learn a lot about that I don't see unless he like pops up in somebody else's plot line to be present. Like I don't know how we see him. So I can see that definitely being an interlude through line.
But like I can't see anybody else other than like Elle and Moash being like big content for the interlude through line.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe like an outside Verlaine shot. I don't know.
Yeah, my other thought was like if the like listeners group doesn't have much to do with the main plot line,
Sure.
then maybe like that's where we spend our interludes. Seeing what's up with like Venli and the other listeners who now like ride and have tamed Chasm Fiends or something.
Oh, I forgot about them. That's another. See, there's so much going on. You're like,
we can fill 10 days for a book. We can. It can be the longest book for sure. Yeah, I would say I don't expect any random interludes that we got like in Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. Like, I think it makes sense that the earlier books had more of like, we're expanding the world. And here we're like really tightening into that super big moment. Like the Brandon Avalanche to end all Brandon Avalanches until Stormlight 10. And I'm cool with that, honestly. Like that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hope we get back to random interludes for Stormlight 6.
I think we will. I think we will in book 6 and 7. And I think it's going to be similar.
Like, what if it's like we revisit like those random interludes, but like now with the context of the world is ending?
That would be really cool.
Oh, that would be so fun. Yeah.
That's a good way to bring it full circle and kind of tie back to stuff. That'd be neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think in Stormlight 6, we'll see a return to some of those, like, because we'll have to kind of reestablish the world again, you know, with a time jump a little bit. We'll see how much changes, how big a shakeup there is. I do expect a big shakeup. Brandon likes to shake up the world. At the end, he likes to reintroduce Lerasium or heal the entire planet.
Look, we know Roshar hasn't been literally destroyed. So like Roshar exists in some capacity. It didn't sound good in Lost Metal for whatever reason. So yeah, I don't know what that means, but
yeah, and I guess the Ghostbloods sure weren't like, and our member bought a Mishram that we have.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, I just thought ahead, like we might see like an eerie exodus of some kind.
Ooh, that could be interesting for sure. Yeah.
Because we know now that Tress takes place in the future, and they did live there at some point, presumably after they left Roshar.
That is a very interesting thing, because that is like one of Odium's main, like that's one of their main nations that they have, right? Is Eerie and Rira and stuff. So let's talk about Kurth for the next hour. What do you think, Grace? Are we going to learn why the Oathgate is there? Like, I think that's really the question in the Silver Kingdom of Rashir that we really need to know here. We're never getting any information on the Silver Kingdoms, like ever.
Hey, the Herald books could teach us about them, maybe.
Yeah, for like 2 flashbacks until they're in the present day or something. I don't know. Yeah, there's so much to do with Herald flashbacks.
Maybe the table in the back half will be a Silver Kingdoms table instead of the 10 essences, and we'll get like another useless table, cultural table that we can go, well, this doesn't really mean anything. But
it's true. The 10 essence table is not as useful as we may have hoped initially.
Because Red Spikes isn't on there.
Yeah, Red Spikes isn't there. How dare they?
Yeah, but we're supposed to get a bot. I think didn't Brandon say we're supposed to get a body essence like reference in this book somewhere?
Oh, body focus? Body focus?
Yeah, body focus. Yeah, that he was like, there'll be a little
body focus.
For like 500,000. How many words? I don't even know. I guess each book is like 500,000. It's like 250,000 words later, we get a piece of information about this thing that's been in every book.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys have any predictions on what the 10 Fool the trait drop will be in this book?
Did we even get one in Rhythm of War?
Oh,
It was a little, but they did reference.
Okay.
He didn't like say what it was, but he was like,
Right.
I feel like Malcolm, the 10 Fool, and didn't really go into it.
Okay. Yeah, we got to get one of the fools.
It'll be one who makes a pact with a dark god just on the spot instead of going to talk to Wit and being like, we're revising the rules. Does this sound good to you?
It's gonna be like, we're gonna learn all the 10 fools, and it's like that fool like spoke without thinking, and then the 10th fool destroyed the world by making a dumb deal with Oya. It's like, well, that one feels a little bit pointed, a little bit stronger than the others.
He's like, why wasn't I thinking about this? Yeah.
That 10th fool just happens to be Ishar, just a different name because he's a herald. He can't be that idiotic.
Ishar.
I think we're gonna have high pace. It's gonna be pretty fast paced, and I think we are gonna get a lot of that resolution and falling action of Rhythm of War. Some more context and explanation, which I feel like with Shallan, we need a lot of that because she got one chapter and then end there, and it's like, okay, you have 2 shard blades. We have some questions and they need to be answered. Like, what's going on with all the dead eyes that went to lasting integrity? Like, what was going on with that? Like, that was a lot of weird stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Now that we know Shallan has 2, do you think this book will see her dual wield shards?
We have to, right? We have to.
I don't know. I feel like Shallan's holding 2 swords, but if they can change shape, dual wielding daggers, kind of fits her shard daggers.
Hell yeah!
Spear and dagger combination.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, that'd be cool.
And that's really her cool. Subsuming radiant back into herself, and she's like, all right, sweet. And she's got these 2 shard weapons that are going crazy. I guess you would need maybe one's a shard blade and pattern's a dagger, because I don't know if Testament could really change shape as much. But maybe Shallan heals Testament too. I don't know. It's possible.
You never know.
I think that Maya stuff is going to be really important, though.
I think it has to be. Mm-hmm. I think that if Brandon doesn't resolve it now, I'm going to feel like he shouldn't have done so much with it in these first 4 books, or at least
it's only been more important in each book, right? It's gotten Rhythm of War. That was a big deal. Why they broke their oaths? Why did they find it so necessary? There were definitely people after Oathbringer where I'm like, I don't know if that reasoning for the recreants is enough. And there's clearly secrets still.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no. I think all of that is bound up so tightly, Badu Mishram and the recreants and what happened there and what's going on with the Deadeyes and can they be healed? All of that is one knot that will come out this book.
That is one of the arcs. Right? It has to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to be, because Brandon said that the first half of Stormlight is Recreants, it's the Radiant, and the second half is Arayatim and the Herald. So it has to be resolved this book.
Yeah.
There's no way it isn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think, though, this is a prediction, we're going to see a Herald go all out this book. I want to see a Herald do something cool. The thing that makes the Herald the Herald.
We saw Ishar do some cool stuff.
It was pretty cool.
True.
It was Bondy stuff. I want to see Talon pick up a shard blade and level a mountain. That's what I'm looking for.
I don't know if we're going to get that in this book, just because I feel wouldn't you think that Talon becoming the badass again would be in Talon's book later?
I could maybe see Nail do some cool destruction-y stuff with Division. With because we gotta get some Szeth learning Division, right?
We do need that. We do need that.
We have to.
A herald being truly heraldic and full power, we gotta see at some point. I just don't know.
We're going for the honor blades too.
We're going for the honor blades. It's true.
A herald a herald will pick up their honor blade and do something awesome. I guess we'll see if his shards works right now that it's got a chip out of it. But
that's an interesting question.
All right.
Yeah, and like what
with the focus on Shinovar, because like does Shin have like most, if not all, of the blades?
Except the ones that were stolen, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, they don't have Jezreans, they don't have nails, they don't have tones, but I think they have all the others.
Well, and
Ishar anymore.
Oh yeah, not Ishar. So 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't even know where Tone's blade actually is.
Are we going to get any answers? Do you think we're going to learn where the missing shard blades are, guys?
I feel like Brandon, like low-key with a wob recently was like, yeah, they're probably just lost somewhere. And we were like,
yeah, that's true. It was disappointing. Yeah. Not that it really matters when you have Radiance and there's just like, I mean, these shard blades are way better. So I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
If they heal the Deadeyes, though.
Yeah, that's true.
If you heal the Deadeyes, do they just like disappear? The like missing shard blades are just like buried under Krem somewhere?
I hope so, because if not, like there's a cure, but also they can't be found. That's like a nightmarish existence right there.
Yeah,
like, that's pretty big. Like just like
that's almost worse
layers of
crap.
I think that actually is worse than being a Deadeye. Yeah, that probably is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think we should go through the characters because we're kind of in that mode? Let's start with our boy Kaladin. So, David, you said he's swearing 5th ideal. I'm not sure. It just seems like 10 days. Like, I just don't know how Kaladin's emotional arc will go now that he's had that big solution in Rhythm of War. Like that. Like, obviously he's going to Shinovar with Szeth and we'll deal with Ashar and Shin stuff. But like, what's the emotional through line to what he's doing? That's the thing that I don't understand.
I think we have to at least like learn what it is, and if it's not through like a big Kaladin swearing moment, what is that going to be? Like, I think we have to learn at this point in my mind.
Yep. I think that's a great point.
That's a good point.
Kaladin, I am low key, maybe he'll continue to be important in the back half. I'm not expecting him to maintain his importance in the next 5 books. I'm hoping to be present because hopefully he'll be alive, but I'm not expecting him to be as important. And this is my pitch for why I don't think it'll be as bad, because I think we've kind of, the vibe I've gotten is that the 5th ideal sometimes just doesn't happen for people who are Radiants. But we've seen that certain ideals are more challenging for individuals than others. And we've seen Kaladin kind of take on 2 tough ideals in a row. And in my mind, I mean, we haven't seen much of him, but I feel like, especially from like the little sample chapters we've gotten so from the start of the book, he feels like kind of like Zen Kaladin. Like, I feel like he doesn't have as much ground to cover. Like he's kind of wrestled with some of his biggest demons in a similar way that Wax had by book 4. And so I could see this being an ideal that ultimately isn't that hard for him to reach, where he's like, this one actually kind of, I'm emotionally pretty ready for this one.
Do we have a sense of what it is? Because I know, like, before Rhythm of War, like, we had a good sense that the next one was like we pretty much knew what it was, even though we didn't know the exact wording. But do we have a sense of what the 5th Windrunner ideal actually is?
I think only in as much as we know that for the Skybreakers, they become the law, according to what they like. According to what Niall said. So maybe Kaladin becomes protection. I don't know.
My best guess is that it's like something like, I will like lead others to teach them to protect themselves or something like that. Like, that's my best guess.
And he's like leading Shinovar to like protect themselves to rise up against the Unmade, maybe? That could kind of work, maybe.
It would be good to see leadership kind of brought in again, because I feel like that is something that is there in like the DNA of like the Strength of Squires stuff, but hasn't been as present in the ideal so far.
God, there have been a lot of good 5th ideal theories, except I can't remember any of them. And like, I know they've been in YouTube comments, but of course, as soon as you record, it's just out. I think the only problem I have with this ideal being easier for him to swear is I feel like 5th ideal needs to be like really awesome. And I just don't know what, like, we got Blade, we got Plate, right? And like, what does that mean? So
yeah, Well, okay. Well, I do think, and this goes along with my regretful inkling that I have that Celadon is going to be a thing, which I'm not happy about.
Oh, really? You think so? Why do you believe this now?
Okay.
Because page count wise, I believe that Brandon will give Kaladin a romantic interest. That is a principle I have. If it was going to happen, we needed them to start spending some time together, like lots of pages together.
Mm-hmm.
And who does he spend all of his freaking time with in Rhythm of War is with Syl.
True.
She is increasingly like manifesting herself, like, you know, she's got the different like kind of cloth shades on her, like, you know, she's wearing like a uniform as opposed to just being her kind of blue glowy stuff. And just like some of the stuff that they went through, like it just, to me, I was like, if you looked at this in the right light, I could see Brandon being like, oh, they're really going through it together, huh? You know? And so I just have a negative suspicion about that.
You just need,
not convinced.
You need a shard to pull Syl into the physical. Yeah. Easy.
Well, there's like a moment where like she does that and she's like, I think like, I feel like I could go further. And I think she's going to be able to fully go into the physical realm at the fifth ideal, essentially. And act like that Ishar is out, but she's done it naturally. She's done something that Ishar was doing in the wrong way, essentially.
That's scarily plausible.
I'm off now. Yeah.
I know, and I don't like it.
All right, so Kaladin one of them needs to die in the fifth book.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're gonna have a whole section of deaths, and I think just spoiler. One thing on the outline is Kaladin living but still dying, and Syl living but Kaladin dying. So we'll talk about all those. Nice. Yeah.
So my sort of general take on the fifth ideal has always been like, you have some trait that originally attracts the spren. Like, so with honor spren, it's like protection. With like with truth, with like cryptics, it's like lying. And then like as you journey through the oaths, you sort of reach like self-actualization of like what that trait means, and like understanding like I think we see that a bit with like Skybreakers being like becoming the law. Sure. Like the law is a flawed thing. With Lightweavers, it's like, okay, I lie all the time, but I'm like learning truths about myself. So I feel like that's sort of like the Windrunner is going to be a similar vein of like whatever self-actualization about protecting people means, which is why I kind of think it'll be like, so we've seen, okay, I can't save everyone, I can't protect everyone, and now we're going to be like, I have to like trust people that they can protect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's my take.
Yeah, like Lightweavers like becoming lies, and like to like become the lie, you have to know the truth in a way, and I don't know, something kind of like that. But I don't know if protection is going to be what it specifically is, because a lot of the stuff with Honor Spren, it's doing the right thing because it is right, whereas Skybreakers is like, I'm doing the right thing because it's the law, and so they're becoming the law. And so like this is like, maybe it's going to be a bit more on the honor side rather than specifically protection, potentially.
You're right that the Windrunners are a little weird in that I do feel like some of the other orders are a little more, I don't want to say one note, but like it's a little more direct. And the Windrunners are like, they've got this protection aspect, they've got this leadership aspect, and then they've got like this inherent sense of rightness aspect that all sort of exist in concert to be the Windrunners. I
mean, Lightweavers are completely complicated, but like I hope the other orders are also, there's sufficient complexity. It's just our main characters are in these two.
Yeah,
it's just
I'm a little skeptical of the like doing what's right because it's right, being like, that's so I'm like, okay, that feels a little like a Windrunner propaganda. I mean, it's like, if the order does what's right because they think it's right, so giving that just to the Windrunners is a little
feeling attacked.
I think they would cast it, sure, propaganda, as like, this is what the Spren is attracted to, like someone who has that like internal sense of righteousness. Not that all the other Spren don't have such a thing. It's just that is what the honor Spren really care about, right? And like that like sort of external rule aspect, but because it is right, not because it is the law, right? That's kind of the thing.
Yeah, and I definitely think that the other orders like do have like more complexity and like more nuance that we just haven't seen because we haven't seen many people from those other orders. And, like if we have, it's just been like one example. It's like, well, our else color is Yasna, or the only real edge dancer we know is Lift, but that those like will be expanded throughout the back half.
Oh, for sure. And I just mostly like hating on the Skybreakers. I think they're boring. They've been pretty one note.
I mean, I will say on the Skybreakers, I would really like to see, because Brandon's been so mysterious about the high spren, like how they feel, what they're like. And I think this book would be a good time to talk about their motivations because they've just been so mysterious. Like, I think now's the time, and Szeth's book could be a good time. What's Szeth's spren? Like, what is going on with any of this?
I was thinking about that a little bit before this recording, and one thing that I think could be interesting for like Szeth and the Skybreakers as a whole in this book is, like, they all follow Nail, but I think one thought I had was like, Nail is the only fifth ideal like Skybreaker that we have, so it could be interesting if like maybe Szeth hits the fifth ideal, and then there's like a schism in the Skybreakers because they're such like regimented and rule following that like once there's another fifth ideal option, we see more start to be like, actually, I think his interpretation of being the law is correct, and I want to follow Szeth.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that.
I'm not sure. I mean, Szeth, do you want to follow Szeth or do you want to follow Nail? It's like pretty interesting question.
It's like, maybe I want a different spread, actually.
But I was just thinking that I could see like people talk about the Skybreakers being one note, and like I was thinking like I wonder how much of that like in the universe is like they're so focused on like following orders and following the structure, and the one person they have that is in charge is like in the wrong, and just having an option that is like better in some way will allow some to sort of be like, okay, I actually want to follow this other person.
It feels like it's because the Skybreakers didn't break their oaths, and so those high spren are they have a very different perspective than the other radiant spren that we're seeing, right? Because they are like pre-recreants. They've lived so long and have a very warped, weird sense of the world. I don't know, get Szeth in there, get a pirate, get Jack Sparrow as a Skybreaker, swear to the pirate code, and then we have the good three options, easy. And then the Skybreakers will be interesting again. Maybe we just need some new high spren who aren't like these crazy ones, maybe?
Buzzkills, yeah.
What if you had a Skybreaker who was like, I swear to the laws of physics, and just never used gravity?
And it only uses gravitation when they're fifth ideal. It's like, I'm the law now. Now I can do it. That would be pretty fun.
That sounds like a very fun like meme character if there was like a Stormlight RPG.
Right? That fanfic, everyone. I like that. It's good.
Do we think that Kaladin, I know he's been sent to help his shard. Do you think he and Szeth he'll be able to help Szeth at all?
I think that's going to be part of it.
Traveling out there? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to be.
Do we think he'll succeed? Or do we feel like, I mean, I feel like Brandon's vibe is not going to be like, and Szeth was beyond help, and there are always people who are beyond help, and that's our moral.
Look, David.
It'd be a bit of a 180 on Stormlight, I think.
Here's the thing with Szeth. Szeth has not had a lot of progress for a while, right? Like in really dealing with his core issues, right? We got very little of him in Rhythm of War, probably because Brandon's like, okay, Szeth and Dalinar, less in Rhythm of War, a lot more in Book 5, right? That makes sense. And probably less Venli in Book 5 for the same reason.
Oh, more Venli.
Well,
is it possible to have less Venli, or was she just turn into a vacuum and cease to exist?
Damn. Either Szeth just totally gets killed in this book, and then it doesn't matter. So, okay, cool. But if he lives and survives, I think he needs an arc and really come to terms with a lot of things in himself. And I think Kaladin is going to be there to do that or help. Right?
Why do you think we had the Kaladin therapy scenes last book?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, it really is setting up. Like, let's go after the two most crazy characters here, Szeth and Ashar. Is there anyone crazier?
I mean, depends on the type of insanity.
Yeah. Crazy's not a specific word here.
I mean, I think one thing that's interesting about this, like, Kaladin Szeth plotline, though, is we know that, like, Radiant swearing an oath can bring, like, a moment of clarity, and now we have, like, Kaladin is probably we're talking about Kaladin, is he going to swear fifth ideal?
Yeah.
I actually think that it's likely that would be, like, the moment of, like, Kaladin's big moment is not swearing the ideal to, like, be in a fight, but rather swearing the ideal to win in, like, I'm trying to make this person, like, sane and see like, sanity sort of way.
Okay. And it's, like, more metaphysical type thing.
Yeah. And I can see fifth ideal being
Brandon.
Yeah, because, like, the only fifth ideal Radiant, like, Yasna's not even, right? At least as far as we know. But
it was fourth in Rhythm of War, I think, because Kaladin was like, right. Yasna.
And I think we need to say
just
the Yasna ideal for her book.
Yeah, that's, I mean, how are we going to wait till book 10? Like, she'll probably be fifth ideal by then, but yeah.
Well, maybe that's what Brandon will do, though, is Yasna will be at the fourth, and she'll just be driven crazy that she can't achieve the fifth, and that'll be a big through line.
Kind of an interesting idea, like, yeah.
He's kind of the person that would, there's no way she would stop one short of a full accomplishment.
True.
Yeah. And the Else Color, like, theme is like, I will reach my potential. She's not stopping.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like, on the Szeth Kaladin thing, like, I definitely think Kaladin is going to be a huge part of, like, Szeth's arc this book. But then you get to them of who are going to be the big deaths in this book. And I don't think it's going to be Szeth, because just to have him have, like, this arc in his book, and then it doesn't feel narratively satisfying. I think Szeth is going to stick around.
Sorry, David.
Like, longer, like,
who's gonna die in the contest of champions then?
That's another discussion.
Yeah, we will get to that contest, of course.
And because I don't know, it feels like Szeth hasn't had much progress in, like, 4 gigantic books, and then we get his book, his arc, his everything, and then he dies. Does it?
Yeah, I think I'm convinced that Szeth's not gonna die. Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna die.
And also because of, we do need the Skybreakers to be more interesting, and so I think Szeth needs to, continue existing, and so we get, like, new Skybreakers that are, like, Radiant Skybreakers.
Well, yeah, and as I said earlier, I don't think a Szeth death would be a gut punch except for a handful of people. So I don't know if it'd be the most emotionally impacting death. We'd be like, oh, there he goes.
Oh no.
Anyway.
Yeah. Oh no. Anyway. Yeah. Exactly.
If Kaladin doesn't die, where do we see him? What do we think? Does he rejoin the military? Does he really, like, stick with this therapy thing, and, like, we're gonna come back and he's, like, really nailed it by book 6, and he's kind of, like, figured out a bunch of stuff?
I can see him being kind of a Dalinar-y figure in the back half, right? Like, and, like, is the wiser old guy, right?
Especially Dalinar's not around.
Combat situations, but he has a bigger role than just that.
Yeah.
But I feel like joins the Ardentia.
Now, so Hell's like, now you're ready, my man. Come on in.
I mean,
good.
Short, small thing that I don't think we're going to have time to fit in. What was going on with Vasher just leaving in Rhythm of War? Like, I feel like we're going to get, like, at least a hint of that at some point. Like, because Brandon doesn't do that for no reason. Have characters vanish so weirdly.
Credit clubs that he knows exactly what Vasher was doing during Rhythm of War.
Like, I think that has to be intentional, even though it was so weird in Rhythm of War that it's like big Vasher scene, and then I'm out of here, man.
Well, I feel like part of it is that he kind of had to take Vasher off the board because if Vasher is there and helping, he's like a huge asset, if Vasher had actually been there, he's like both a swordsman and someone who's probably, like, capable of diagnosing what's wrong with the sibling and how to fix it, potentially.
Yeah, jeez. Holy crap.
Like, if he's going, Navani, here's the problem, here's what we got to do, that's much less exciting than Navani, like, figuring it out.
Sure.
Oh, I think there's an answer, but I feel like for meta reasons, that's probably why he has an answer.
Yeah. And I don't actually think Kaladin would join the Arden show, but I can see him sort of in like a similar place in terms of like what he's doing. He's sort of more of like a spiritual leader, like researcher, therapist type person who's like not active in the military anymore. Hopefully single if Scylla's still alive.
Well, and that's a good point, Grace, because he was trying to join like the fighty Ardents, and Vasher was like, "Come back when you've lost your love of the fight," But if he were to join like the medical like therapy Ardents, maybe that's the place for him.
Can you imagine Kaladin shaving his hair?
I was literally just thinking that like that. No way. Boo.
That is a funny. Yeah, someone make that. If I had the artistic skill, that's like a funny meme or like a little sketchy drawing of Kaladin being like, like sitting there and being like, "I'm out. Never mind."
Those beautiful locks. They're so good. Shallan. Ultimately, what do we need from Shallan? Answers. Number one, we need answers. If we don't, what are we even doing here? We need them.
If we don't, I think the whole fandom will go after Brandon.
Yes, absolutely.
Go to Utah. Go to Cosmere. It's like, Brandon, why?
We do not condone that action. Get metaphorical pitchforks, okay? Okay, metaphorical. No physical abuse, please. Or really any kind of abuse, but like you can be upset with a book. That's fine. 2, fighting Ghost Bloods. That's going to be a thing, right? Like she's finally made her call. The Ghost Bloods versus Shallan's people or the Radiants at a whole, right? That's going to be a thing, right? 3, Mishra. Like that's what we're doing here. There's no way that can't be what Shallan's doing, right?
Yeah. What I want to see
go after this after Oathbringer and.
Yeah, maybe we'll see Shallan, maybe.
And Shallan, and then nothing happened in Rhythm of War.
This feels too core. Like, she basically put Mraize in her sights and said, "I'm going after the same prize as Mraize." Like, we need to, the conflict has to occur. I want to see Shallan coming clean to Yasna. After all this time, it's time for her to say, "Yasna, I messed up and I need your help because
hell yeah,
I'm fighting Mraize,"
Yes.
And Yasna knows how dangerous they are. Hoyd's already filled her in, so she's aware of the threat of the Ghost Bloods, and she'd be a really helpful ally.
Yes.
To Shallan.
Knows about Kelsier because of Hoyd.
Yeah. I feel like the prologue, Kelsier shows up, right?
Kelsier shows up. Yeah. I read that. It's like,
that could we could get a bit more of that here. Like, obviously, Kelsier's not there, right? But
because
we could have a thing where Shallan even uses the Seon to talk with Kelsier. Like, that's a thing that could happen, right?
Yeah.
Do we think Kelsier makes one last offer to Shallan to join the Ghost Bloods and he gets turned down for a third time textually? I am going to get somebody to join this group, damn it.
Era 3, Kelsier. Era 3.
Wait, do we have to wait for the Elantra sequels?
Well,
that'll be right in with
going to be the Elantra sequels.
Yeah, that'll be with, those are all next, right? We just have to see. I think you can easily imagine a pretty climactic battle with Shallan versus Mraize, right? Like that's been such a constant thing. Maybe we'll see Yaddle again. Hey, where's she?
She's got to be around.
She's got to be around, for sure.
She's not going anywhere, because the whole thing from Lost Metal, they mentioned her.
They did mention her, right? All these things, so I think. God, I think they're going to find Bottom Ishram's prison, and they're going to be fighting. Mraize is going to do the thing, release Bottom Ishram. Bottom Ishram's just going to kill Mraize. I actually think that could be pretty good.
Like Raiders of the Lost Ark style, where they're like, look away, Shallan.
Honestly, though,
close your eyes.
That could be pretty sweet. Where, It's like they're going to use you for a bad purpose that I don't know, but maybe Shallan figures it out. And Shallan's like, I'm friend. I was kind of friends with Ray Shafir. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Speaking of what's going on with Ray Shafir and all the other Unmade, we got to get a lot of Unmade stuff. We have to. There's an Unmade in Shinovar, right? And an Unmade Devar influence somehow.
Oh my.
Did you forget about that one?
Do you have any thoughts on like?
Oh, I added
Ooh, which Unmade in Shinovar? Okay, let's open that Unmade article you made, David.
Let me tell you, because I know all the Unmade off the top of my head. I wrote that.
I just focus on Bada Mishram, okay? Like, I don't care about the other Unmade.
I've always thought
article.
We got the little bit of hint from Dawn Shard that Daigon Arthas might have been involved in the destruction of Bohemia.
Yep.
I've always wondered if it's not that far. Like if he was there and then he was to go somewhere else, Shinovar's pretty close. Like the ones that we don't know much about are basically that one, Kamorish, and that's really it. I think the rest of them have been pretty firmly established. So, like one of the ones
Daigon Arthas.
Yeah, Daigon Arthas.
What if we get there and it's Astrobird again and the leadership of the shit are just like having a giant like party and getting drunk and having sex and
like, that would be a good conflict for Szeth in particular because but hey,
he's like, this is against the law.
And Kaladin's just like, this isn't right. This is too much.
That's where they find the point where they meet. Like,
this orgy, this orgy's gone too far. I don't know if Ashert Marn is a compelling antagonist, so I think it's got to be Daigon Arthas or Chamorish. But I think Daigon Arthas. We just have a bit more of Daigon Arthas. Like there's at least a bit more, whereas Chamorish, like we literally is like almost
people
nothing.
think she's the Night Watcher sometimes, and that's the fact. Like
and in Babylon her name is invoked as a curse. We know nothing.
Wow. Yeah. Look at
that
this cover my article.
That was an easy one.
Yeah.
I have the cover my article open.
Hell yeah. So I think it's got to be Daigon Arthas because that Black Fisher stuff, that's a fun death rattle. Oh, you know what I want? I want more death rattles. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, it's agree.
Oh,
what if one of our main characters dies and we get a death rattle and it's like that could be fun if it's like imagine it's like the final climax and Kaladin lays there dying and then suddenly there's a death rattle about like Doom is coming or something.
That would be tight.
Without me, you can't hope to succeed.
Yeah, but not make it sound too much like the Lord Ruler's death.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet, though.
That'd be cool. I know, it'd be so sad. Oh my god.
Yeah, but maybe it's Mraize being killed by Bada Mishram, and the proximity to Bada Mishram causes a death rattle for some reason. I don't know.
But I feel like it needs to be like a main character because I feel like that's just extra like a gut punch of like this beloved hero who's dying and also in their final moments they're being taken over by an Unmade who's using them to like tell the others how like doomed they are and how much things are gonna suck.
It's pretty sweet.
I got two ideas. Okay. One is that I would like a check-in on just what the other Unmade are up to, if possible, at least as many as I can. Because sometimes I'm like, what are these guys doing now? Like, are they hanging out in Fury? Like, what's going on? Maybe multiple Unmade are in Shinovar at this point. That's possible. But B, do we think, this just popped into my head, that the Unmade influencing Shallan's family could in some way be Ba'ad Edo Mishram? And that's a connection where she's like, wait a minute, what was influencing my family? And they're like, I don't know what Unmade that is.
I don't even know how that'd work, but storytelling wise, if they're going for Ba'ad Mishram, that feels like the only one that makes sense.
What if instead of like killing as soon as like they're released, Shallan releases Ba'ad Mishram and it's like, I've been watching and waiting for this since you were a child.
Oh my God. That would be sweet. That would be awesome. I'm into that. I'm into that for sure. And then can still kill Mraize. Let's be honest.
Yeah. She can do lots of stuff. That'd be great. She's like, hello, Shallan. Let me dispose of this for you. It's time we talked.
I'm into that. That sounds amazing.
I really like that. And
I don't know how she would do that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, spiritual realms. Like maybe she like saw the possibilities and used what little influence she had stuck in the gem to like push Shallan the way she needed to go.
You know, I'm sure those night forms that Badamishram made, they're not just going to be used to be prison guards. Like maybe Badamishram actually used those that could see the future. Never forget, the night forms that can see the future were just prison guards in Rhythm of War in your theory.
I mean, seeing the future. Think about Adium. Think about Adium. If you have a Radiant, right, who can like take in Stormlight, do all this stuff, like a prison guard with like the equivalent of Adium who can like see their next move would be useful.
For sure.
Hey, okay, that's true. That's true. I guess. But that'd be kind of
lame if it's like the future stuff, like night forms is just like actually they have like Adium abilities.
Yeah. No. Those listener songs are more spooky.
Don't you mean Adium diluted with Malatium, Grace?
Electrum, I think you mean.
Oh, damn it. I can't even get it right. It just sucks. Anyway.
I mean, yeah.
This episode's so off the rails. I love it. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you're having fun too.
Predictions episode was always going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really like the narrative of like Shallan's like family being related to Badamishram if she's going after Badamishram, because there's already so much to do in this book that it helps like condense in order to make it like much more exciting. And then you leave the Digonarthis and the Chimarsh like mysteries for the back half, which I think is also important.
Sure. I have a theory, guys. Are you ready?
Yes.
Shallan's mom is Badamishram.
Why did I know you were gonna say that?
That would be so funny. It's like, don't worry, it's not Chana.
I again don't know. That theory is not. I don't actually believe that, but it would be pretty funny.
Could be influenced, though. Could be influenced. Yeah, could be influenced. Laying down a marker right now. Are we Chana Devar or are we not? Because this will be resolved, and I am 100% a Chana Devar.
Sure. I feel the same way about Chana Devar as you feel about Celadan, where I'm like, I hate it, but it's gonna happen.
Oh, that's exactly what Jess is like, Grace. Is like we talk about this kind of frequently, actually.
My thing isn't even like it's the fact that a herald would be attracted to Linda.
Okay, that's a valid point.
This theory. It's not about Shallan's past. It's like
he was nice at one point.
He was nice.
We're told, not seen. We've never seen it.
You have like, unless Chana's like thing is that she like has a lot of families. It's like you've been around for 4,000 years, and Linda Var is the person you choose to marry. Finally, like
Grace, she is a dust bringer, right? She likes breaking things. Maybe she likes broken men.
She likes bad boys, just like Lynn. No.
God.
That's awful.
Yeah, that's awful. I think I'm a Chana Devar believer. I think it makes sense.
Like it.
My worry is just how Brandon is going to reveal all this information about Shallan's past in this book, and I don't understand narratively how he's going to do that, but good luck with that, Brandon.
I feel like that's why the like Badamishram thing works so well, though, is if like Badamishram has been influencing things, she can be like,
cool.
Mm-hmm. Part of why I like the Badamishram thing so much. Yeah.
I mean, in the prologue, Gavilar did say Badamishram was their other god.
Yeah, right.
Oh. So maybe Badamishram's doing a lot of stuff. I don't know how in a gemstone, but
I could see being able to, especially because she's like, they've called her like a small god, have they not? Like, she's pretty strong. I could see being able to exert limited influence if you are like really, really, if you are kind of like pushing the limits of what's being able to be held in this gemstone. I could see you like kind of spilling it.
I think there's potentially a like lesser version of like Ruin trapped in the well maybe going on of like he can still exert influence, but he is trapped.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's a good parallel.
Or like at least see stuff.
I personally like Chana Devar as a theory because there needs to be a reason that all this crazy stuff happened in Shallan's past.
That
her
is
mom
true.
Being a herald is a really good answer for like why the Skybreakers are taking notice and why an Unmade is taking notice and why Shallan is bonding Espren as a child. Like people are swirling around this important figure, and Shallan doesn't realize it. But this is why these things happen.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, my thing is before the Stormlight 5 prologue, I wasn't a huge fan of the theory, and I was like, oh,
me either.
Another thing. And then the Stormlight 5 prologue came, and I was like, I feel it's inevitable, and I've grown to like it more. And exactly what David was saying, like it's all the pieces are starting to fit into place, and I think like very few other explanations could have like that satisfaction, because people are already kind of mad at Shallan's like plot and how it's like progressed, and like
I think Shallan's gonna be better.
All these secrets, and
it's gonna be better in this book for sure.
To justify that, and I think that's gonna be this book.
Yeah, I like that. Like, I don't know, like, where would Bottomy Shrimp's prison even be? I guess in the ground with the missing shard blades is just as valid as anything else, honestly.
I had such a great theory that died many years ago, and I've never had a second theory for where it could be.
Yeah, because it was below Kholinar and Gavilar was talking.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be in Kholinar, and that Gavilar had been talking to her, and that's how he knew so much stuff. But I believe at some point or another that was directly, I can't remember what part of it was directly disproven, but someone asked Brandon for a wob in it. The whole thing.
No.
Here's my thought. Trapped in a gemstone in Shadesmar, being guarded by the High Spren.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay, that'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, sure. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
The more I actually think about it, like, this is like, we talk about Shallan's story potentially being messy, but I feel like this could potentially be a way where it ties together nicely of like, they go to the High Spren, learn like more about the Recreants. Shallan frees Bottomy Shrimp. Bottomy Shrimp is like, your mom was a herald and I've been watching you, waiting for this moment, and like influencing things so that way. Like, I feel like that actually seems like a very seamless way to tie things together. That's like seems very messy.
I'm gonna believe her.
I could see that.
I could see it.
Yeah,
I like that.
My like thought process for where the prison is, it's always been like this entrapment occurs like right before the Recreants, you know, and like things are not going well with the bondsmith, with Malishi and the sibling. It sounds like the situation is very complicated. The Radiants are collapsing. So what do you do with the prison once you have it? Like, what group exists to, or location exists that you would entrust this gemstone to, assuming they didn't do what they did with the Thrill and put an
you just toss it in the ocean. Easy peasy. Come on. In an aluminum box.
That's a good idea, Grace. That's the best idea I've heard.
Yeah. I like that.
For some reason, I've always thought it was somewhere in Shadesmar. I don't know if that's like something that is like implied in the World War or just an idea I got that I've never let go of, like an assumption I've had.
Yeah, and it also helps like with the whole like logistics thing. Like, I don't know how like Shallan and Adolin would go from where they are and like communicate with people and figure out about the 10 days and whatever. But it gets rid of them needing to go back to your ethereal if they can somehow figure that out.
Sure. They just got to get to like an Oathgate, right? So that's somehow quickly. We will get to Dalinar in a moment, but Adolin's really connected to Shallan. So what do we think Adolin's up to? Other than like Maya stuff, right?
Dying. This is the my prediction. This is the death. This is what I believe. But I do think he will. I do think he will heal Maya. I believe that that's been, or at least whatever, as much as he can do without some larger like magical, like maybe it will, maybe it won't happen. But I think like whatever the Dead-Eyed Spren are going to be, Adolin will achieve.
Yeah, has to.
With Maya.
I am okay with Adolin dying, kind of, as long as Adolin gets Shallan pregnant beforehand, so he can have a Yami Yugi character with all 3 hair colors in the back half. That's what I need. Thanks. That's what I want.
Oh, are you gonna say as long as Kaladin and Shallan can get together afterward?
No.
I don't want. But Adolin had his whole thing about like last book about like realizing he can like lead his own way and not
there's a lot of fun things Adolin can do for sure.
And I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of potential with Adolin that would be wasted if he like dies in Shadesmar or somewhere. Like,
especially if Dalinar dies. Like, I feel like that's very interesting for him.
We haven't even gotten like any. We haven't really gotten any real like Adolin Dalinar like resolution. I feel like.
Yeah, that feels like that probably needs to happen in this book, unless Brandon's just going to be like, yeah, well, that's just how it is, I guess.
Adolin just hate, well, I mean, of all the reasons to just like hate your father and not like want resolution, like the fact that he killed your mother's like probably top the list.
That's like, definitely up there for sure. Yeah.
Going back to the like Adolin dying theory, like this is a dilemma I'm having with so many of like okay, who's gonna die? Because somebody's gonna die. But I'm like, I think Adolin has a lot of potential. I mean, Kaladin doesn't have as much of potential, but I also don't want Kaladin to die. Szeth has a lot of potential. I feel like, I mean, Dalinar is like the one that's most
100%.
I know it's been set up the most, and like it wouldn't have that feeling of an arc being cut off. But again, the arc being cut off has worked before because it happened with Elokar.
That's true.
So I have no idea who I want to die.
Yeah.
That's something that I always run into whenever I think about that.
Yeah, I don't think Adolin and Dalinar will die. I think one of them will.
That's true. And let's look.
It could be Dalinar.
Dalinar might not die, but he's gonna be off the table. Okay.
Yeah.
You think so? He's so strong, but
I think there's no way for Dalinar to exist in his human state leading the Radiance. How about that? Like, if he...
That leaves quite a few possibilities open.
Yeah. So let's go through them. Becoming fused, sure. Becoming honor, sure. Alex's theory, fun theory that she came up with is Dalinar becomes honor, loses the contest, and then as honor is sworn to odium. So that's fun. That could be fun.
God. Oh, that is complicated.
That is complicated. Yeah, you wouldn't expect that one. He could just be destroyed by Nightblood if he loses the contest. Like that's a way to not have him serve odium, right? Or he could just be regular dead. I think these are all good ideas.
You think he's too strong to exist? Because now we got Navani, and she can also power radiant. So like,
but Navani's not Unity.
Well,
that's true. Navani is not Unity.
I think that's one of the things where I'm like, I really want to know what that I am Unity was all about. Like, how Unity was about this book.
Yeah.
I think we will.
I think it's more that Dalinar is such a force of honor, the agent of honor itself, that we can't just have him all the time. I think that's the thing. And also he's like he's the oldest character in the cast. Well, other than immortal people, obviously. the oldest normal character here. And look, the old mentor's gotta die. Come on. If Kaladin's gonna become the old mentor, we can't just have an even older mentor as well. Whereas Navani can be the scientist mentor, and they can sometimes live, okay? It's different.
These are the rules, people.
Plus, wouldn't it be interesting for Navani to like be kind of crushed by that? That'd be kind of fun.
Oh, I think Navani's gonna live.
Navani's gonna live.
Navani did not become the new Radiant of Earthero, so she can die and then have Earthero kind of like wind down again. Like that's not
agreed.
Navani's there if it really would in the same way, but yeah, she'll be around.
I agree, 100%.
We kind of jumped from Adolin to Dalinar.
They're so related.
I don't really.
I think my problem with Adolin is like I don't think he'll die. Two, I think other than Maya stuff, his arc will be like supporting Shallan.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
I think like most of like Adolin's arc and like the whole like new leadership thing. Like once he's like confronted Dalinar about like the whole everything, and like we close those threads. Like then that leaves Adolin open for a whole like bunch of things in like the back half. Like, this new leadership thing, and like if Dalinar dies and like taking like that like higher role.
Yeah, I
agree.
All
that potential that doesn't need to happen this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always thought that like my ideal endgame for Shallan and Adolin would be like them on Nalthis, like Shallan like with breath and making art, and Adolin just like enjoying the fashion in Helendrin, but like
he's a totally bro. Like this is so cool. Oh my god,
that's pretty good endgame actually.
That is ideal.
I don't think Roshar's going to be nice enough for that, but you know.
Yeah, I just always
Nalthian custom searching pattern. There's plenty of like wholesome fun moments in this possibility that I don't think will happen, but it's my ultimate dream for those two.
Nice. I like it.
I like it. I think I just go to him dying because he's like a middle node. Like when you look at like the relationship networks, like everyone will be devastated if Adolin goes.
That's true.
Almost everyone will be devastated if Dalinar goes. I don't think Shallan really cares. But other than that, like,
but Adolin might.
Adolin.
Adolin. Adolin's a good character for emotional impact to die.
And he's gonna whatever. Yeah.
I don't think Brandon would be like, what's the most devastating character to die? I think it's like whatever makes sense in the story of like who has like the possibility to like make the sacrifice. I don't know.
That doesn't need to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah. I just feel like he's going to be on the front lines too. Like whatever, there's going to be a fight. There's no way that this, we've got whatever the kind of pseudo peace down are negotiated. But like, I feel was there not like some indication that he's like, yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like there's going to be some sort of fighting. Like there's no way everything's going to be peaceful up until this contest of champions. And I feel like Adolin is going to be wanting to get in there.
We are going to have some big battles because ultimately that's not what we got in Rhythm of War. Like that was that Yasna Dalinar thing. Like we are going to have a big climactic battle and a contest of champions, and it's going to be a battle like Narak or Thalen Fields, right?
It's so funny that the book with war in the title is the one where we see the least of war.
I mean, yeah, that is kind of funny. Like, what's the Rhythm of War and like Warlight and stuff? Like, what's that going to be?
No, it works.
About that.
Yeah. But we were all in, whatever that was 4 years ago when we were recording this, we were like, oh yeah, the battle for Alethkar, it's going to be huge.
I remember we said Kaladin Szeth road trip in going to Alethkar to try and free it. And so, I mean, we're kind of getting that. So like, I'm happy. I'm happy. It's actually a thing. With Dalinar, what do we think Dalinar is doing?
Bondsmith stuff.
But what does that mean, though?
Well, no one will ever tell him, so he can't know. But
Brandon did say like Dalinar's part of this book is going to be like much larger, and if this wasn't going to be Szeth's book, it was going to be Dalinar's book.
Yeah, exactly.
The other way around. So like, there has to be something besides Bondsmith stuff.
I'm having the same difficulty as with Rhythm of War, where it's like, even Rhythm of War was harder for this, but like there are plot threads, and I can kind of see what, like a one sentence description of what they're doing, but not like what the book is about, right? Yeah. What, like I don't know what the back of the book summary is going to be, and so like, Dalinar, he's going to have a big role in this book and is going to do important stuff like Way of Kings and Oathbringer. Rhythm of War was like Words of Radiance. He took a step back. We're gonna see him more, but like, what is he doing though? And like, I never would have guessed the plot in Rhythm of War is Earthia is besieged, and like that's what the book's about. Like I think that's the thing we're missing. It's like, just what is it about?
No, I agree. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like when I'm thinking about, like, well, he's preparing for the contest of champions, but like that's not like a book, like a plot line.
Yeah, exactly.
Book of, like, unless it's like really like, okay, like I'm exploring like unity and I'm exploring like my connection to honor, but that's not, I don't know, like that doesn't feel like a full plot line.
Yeah, and like, I mean, the last big update we got in Stormlight 5 from Brandon is like, well, this is gonna be the Dalinar section. We got that like concept art from Peter, like Dalinar like on the stairs in your theater with like Oathbringer under his arm. Like this whole thing, and we have no idea what Dalinar's doing.
No. Didn't he say like Dalinar and Shallan together? Was that a thing? Did I lose it?
I think actually I'm gonna go for that in Arcanum.
Let's look at this. Look for that. Okay. So in Stormlight 5 Update 2, there was the Kaladin Szeth section. Yeah, we knew that. Section 2, this will be Shallan/Dalinar with some Navani and Renarin. And I'm writing these all in a group. They're not as intertwined as Szeth Kaladin, but they feel like a good division point. Goals to write this straight through, beginning to end. including any epilogues, if there are any to the sequence. So I think that's multiple epilogues confirmed. So, all right.
He's like, oh, wait, I can't confirm these will live. Maybe they'll both be dead.
And then notably, this is interesting because Adolin's not like in that, right? And so those groups are the core of the book, but there's still some to do afterward. Notably, Adolin, Yasna, and Venli each will have a nice little chunk of the book. And while their plots lines aren't interconnected, I'll probably write them all through together. And then other bits. Rlain will be in the Renarin sequence. So Shallan Dalinar. So I mean, if Dalinar joins with the Biodemishram stuff, well, I mean that gives them some stuff to do.
Yeah,
that'd be weird.
That's so interesting to me. Okay, so like I can sort of see how potentially Shallan and Dalinar could and maybe end up tied together, but like, and also like Venli and Yasna both kind of off doing their own thing makes sense. But what is Adolin going to be doing then?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
That's unrelated to Shallan, Dalinar, or Renarin, really.
That is true. Those are three characters that are very important to Adolin. And also, Kaladin's also off doing his own thing. So, like, what are you even doing here, Adolin?
That actually really excites me, though, because
that's true. Yeah.
He's really gonna have like his shine in his parts.
Brandon just loves, it's like, oh yeah, Shallan Dalinar. It makes sense. Everyone knows that. It's like, wait, what? Like, I would not have called that personally of main character combos, but
although it doesn't sound like they're. It's not like her and Szeth, right? That's what he's saying when he's in there.
They're not like necessarily together, but they're like exploring some of the same things.
Yeah,
makes sense.
That's weird. Okay. I don't even know what that means.
Like maybe Dalinar is going back and like trying to figure out like Ishar stuff. Like even if he sent like Szeth and Kaladin to Shinovar, Ishar did a lot of like boss missing stuff, and so maybe like that's what Dalinar is doing. I don't know.
Do you think Dalinar is gonna go to Ashen? Is Biodemishram present on Ashen?
That's where she is.
I just had like a moment where it's like, I mean,
Ashen. Sorry, wait, I was thinking AIM.
Yeah.
He could. I mean,
that'd be bonkers.
It's like Ashen is like back half. Though.
I don't know. Look, Brandon,
introduce it in the front half so we can go there in the back half. You gotta like you open that door.
We saw a vision of Braze, so like maybe we could get at least a vision of Ashen, if not going there.
What if? Okay, hear me out. What if like this is very dumb. Okay, so Dalinar is unity. Shallan just had the whole arc of like uniting her different personalities. What if that's the connection? It's like.
Okay. All right. Sure. Brandon just has some bonkers ideas. It's like, yeah, this is a spot line. It's going to be this whole thing. And like, okay, Brandon, that's insane. But yeah, all right, cool. Like, obviously, I wouldn't actually love the one sentence, like, what are Shallan Dalinar doing? But like, that's what I'm maybe most curious about. Because like I feel like Kaladin and Szeth, like, okay, they're doing Shinovar stuff. Like sure.
Yeah, we know.
But like this stuff, it's so broad. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe there's something where like Shallan learns that whatever she has to do is like maybe not in Shadesmar with the spread, and then Adolin in like in very like edge dancery ways, like. Well, we have these clues about the Dead Eyes and we don't know if we're going to survive, but like, I want to like stay here where I'm more useful and like try to fix this myself.
Maybe.
In like a very like edge dancery, like remembering the forgotten sort of way. If he's like, I'm not going to be useful, like wherever you're going, I can like do this here.
Okay, so I just was like rereading the update, and there's this last sentence. For now, please enjoy this nifty concept art by Pater depicting a scene that has been building for a long time. And it's Dalinar going up the stairs.
I never did a video
so I opened
on
up
this
thing.
Yeah.
And then in the shadows, it's really interesting because you see like this hand that's like all like spindly. Like it looks almost like Pattern's hands.
Yeah, sure. Kind of cryptic-y.
In the shadows.
Yeah.
How come a scene that has been building for a long time? Like, what could this be?
Is that walking to the top of the tower for the contest?
That's
maybe?
what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the contest. And I feel like it's Taravangian's ancient clawed hand, like reaching out for him.
It's
That's
like
my
he's backlit, like behind him by like honor blue, but like ahead of him he's walking towards the Odin gold.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's very thematic. I don't know if
I
that
think
like,
Shadow
actually
has like the crownish thing that we've seen lots of artists depict Odium with, and like the big like pauldrons.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I'm so excited for this book. Jeez. Like this is gonna be the most bonkers thing. This might be the book where Brandon's like, okay, this is an ending, so I'm not holding back anymore. Kind of like, for the first two books, there was a lot of holding back, and then Oathbringer, it's a lot of stuff. Here's Oathbringer chapter 38. Here's what's going on with the heralds. It's like it's not a mystery anymore. They're gonna be involved. And I feel like we're just it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so crazy. My hype was high for Oathbringer, and it exceeded it. I knew Brandon, with the plotting of Rhythm of War, I'd like the book less. And so I think if it's a fast-paced thing, going to a big climax, and we just have a massive 10th day that's the most bonkers stuff ever, like, I'm cool with it. If it's bigger than Battle of Thalen Fields, honestly, I'm cool with that. I'm fine. Maybe others don't like that, but that's the stuff I really like. Navani. So Navani's going to be involved with Dalinar. I'm sure that makes sense, right? Fine.
Yeah.
I don't really know what she's doing. Like, obviously, the big thing with her, I think, is the conflict with the sibling, right? And like Fabrials and stuff, and that seems intractable. So that's fun.
And all the fallout from Rhythm of War.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I can see her like teaching people how to make anti-light and like, but that's not.
But I don't expect her to be such a big part of this book when so much of that is going to be taken up by Dalinar, and probably. I mean, her book was last book. Like, even if it was technically Families and Eshenes, it was Rhythm of War for Navani.
It feels like it's going to be kind of like Adolin and Shallan in Rhythm of War, where like Shallan's like kind of the main POV character, and like we're getting some Adolin POVs, and that's going to be Dalinar and Navani, because now Dalinar is in the fold, and like we get some Navani, but like a lot of the Navani chapters, it's from Dalinar's POV, probably. That seems reasonable.
Yeah,
that seems about right.
Yeah, and she's probably going to.
And I agree.
A big role in the back half.
That like sibling stuff is going to be, when I was talking about how there wasn't really like a wrap up from Rhythm of War, like that's the sort of thing where I'm like, okay, Navani and the sibling are bonded. What now?
But,
what do they think? And seeing cool tower stuff. Like, I assume there's more to see from the very, very end of Rhythm of War.
Yeah, see the tower working in all its glory.
I mean, there is a tiny bit of that in the first Kaladin chapter, where it's like
there is a bit of that, so that'll be fun.
All the little details.
Yeah. Do you think I can see potentially? Well, I don't think she would necessarily have this as like. I don't know how much like Navani stuff, but I think we could get like the secret to like ancient Fabrials, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Like we already kind of had got a little bit of that, like with like I feel like we sort of know, like okay, like ancient Fabrials, like ancient soulcasters, or like something with a spren that's like willingly did that, and like we see a little bit of that with her way through. But like I don't know, I can see maybe her book being about like sort of reconciling that conflict and actually learning how like ancient soulcasters were made,
and why any spren would agree to that, because that sounds awful. But hey,
and maybe they explained half shards.
Half shards.
Brandon just really liked intelligent beings becoming objects for some reason.
He does like that.
It's a nature of night too.
Yeah, he loves that. I agree. Navani's gonna live for sure. Like there's no question in my mind. It's just Dalinar is too important, too connected with honor. Get him out of there. Navani's our bondsmith.
My Dalinar thing, we kind of moved on from him, but I'm going to circle back now.
Oh yeah, sure.
I feel like I'm expecting some failure from him. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's good. And I could see him. I've always imagined him like in like a monk-like position. Like he's been kind of heading towards like a religious leader, and I could see him like putting himself into exile in some way.
Oh, that's kind of interesting too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Within the 10 days. he fails, puts himself in exile, and then comes back to...
Sure.
Sorry, I know the exile only lasted like 4 days, but this is really important, and then I'll leave again.
I was thinking at the end of the book, and we're like,
yeah, he's exiled as a fused.
Yeah.
Easy.
Maybe Taravangian's like, I don't even want you as a fuse to use you as a fuse. I'm just gonna make you stick around because it sucks. Like,
I mean, we haven't talked about it here, but Taravangian as Odium is like,
go on.
I don't know when our characters are going to realize. I know there's a wob that says Hoyd will realize that something was wrong pretty soon in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's one of the early chapters. But like that is going to be terrifying, and I'm so excited. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, it's like the biggest piece of like missing information that we've ever had over our characters, I feel like.
Yeah, true.
You know, in a book.
True. And it's going to really add to suspense, right? Like, we know the answers, but our characters don't. And it's just like driving off a cliff. Like, yo, you're so screwed.
I don't think they'll find out probably until the Contest of Champions.
I think that's pretty plausible.
Any way of them finding out earlier.
I think Szeth might find out.
That's true. He might.
I think, like, I don't know, depending on the circumstances... I feel like Szeth is not the most sane character already, and like that seems like a very easy way to break him if that is something Taravangian Odium wanted to do.
I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
There's so many moving
there
pieces.
Are a lot of things.
Finding out, but they can't write in the span rates. They've got no way to tell Dalinar, so they're just like,
yeah.
We know, but because of men aren't literate, we can't tell anyone.
Szeth does know how to write, though.
Who does?
Szeth.
Oh, he does. You're right.
He wrote,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he writes in a lefty, too. Because he writes the most important words a man can say. I forgot.
Yeah, you know,
that's interesting.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
One of our literate guys here from the West.
I have no idea. What if, like, Taravangian gives Szeth a dream where it's like a replica of the like scene where he was like ordered to kill Taravangian, and then like Taravangian turned around holding the Oathstone, but it's like an Odium vision where it's like he turns around and is like with the glowing Odium eyes.
Oh,
that's a great idea. That'd be a cool scene.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And the other thing we saw from Rhythm of War so much was that, like, to bring Kaladin into those visions, Odium had to be operating like through Moash in some ways to have a sufficient connection. But Taravangian Szeth, that's a strong connection.
Yeah,
that's pretty
huge.
He's
one.
Going to be able to pull him into a vision.
Yeah,
I think.
true. I agree, 100%.
I can totally imagine Taravangian being like, no. Racist torture methods were crude. I am much more sophisticated than this kind of thing.
Yep, for sure. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I remember like when we finished Rhythm of War, like all the discussion that happened afterwards, like, that I didn't think I'd use the word terrified more than at the end of Rhythm of War with all the things that were setting up, like Vargodium, Warlight, Anti-Light, like every, like so many threads from Rhythm of War, and like the end of that just made me be like terrifying. So it's gonna make for really fun to Stormlight 5.
Yeah, because with Anti-Light, all of our characters are in danger, right? Like it's not like the beginning of Rhythm of War where they feel completely invincible, right? Like,
oh my gosh, they're so strong.
Yeah. Not even fifth ideal, right? So with Anti-Light, that really does bring a sense of danger to these powerful people, right?
Yeah. We think, this is a little mechanics, so you don't have to dig into it too far. If you're in your metal weapon form, you're probably good, right? Like, I don't think if you had an Anti-Light dagger and you like blocked like a cell sphere, that would kill her, I feel like.
Probably not.
Well, then it's too easy. Then you literally can't block a single blow.
That's true.
Know?
That's true.
I mean, but like, okay, we've seen like Nightblood. Like, can't like Nightblood like block shard blades without like killing them immediately?
Oh, yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen Nightblood be a regular shard blade. We've seen it be our honor blade, and it chipped it. I don't know if we've ever seen him hit a shard blade.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess
probably less nice to a shard blade, to be honest.
Yeah, probably less. Okay, never mind. The spren would probably disappear and then like fly away in fear.
Yeah, I think that would kill them. I think Nightblood via regular Sprenblade would probably, or at least like break them in some way. You know,
Well, that's a nice thought.
Yeah.
That's a pleasant thought right there.
I think the way those anti-light daggers work, they like push the anti-light into you. So I think, yeah, that makes sense that like just it wouldn't necessarily work in just metal form.
Yeah. So like in my head, I'm like, okay, don't float around as little guys and just be in the metal form a lot when you're at any sort of risk. But they've got the Light Weaver folks though. Like there are opportunities at like sneaky stuff. And I also wonder, like, if you were to hit a Radiant with an anti-light dagger, is there enough connection to hurt the Spren potentially too? Like maybe it can travel along that pathway. I don't know.
It's probably not fun, you know?
Probably not fun. No, definitely not fun.
Yeah. Renarin. Renarin's somewhat related to this Shallan, Dalinar, Navani stuff. Renarin is a very useful asset with the visions and stuff. I loved that scene in Rhythm of War where he's doing the visions with Dalinar.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So like more of that would be very cool, right? Using that as their advantage and seeing like, oh, something very bad is happening and how do we counteract this type thing, maybe. Seems like we're getting Renarin Rolain stuff. Got to fit that in, but you know, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to tie into the whole, like, Sean not seeing and, like, the Enlightened Spren plot.
That's a whole aspect.
Like, what are we going to do about that? Like, obviously, I don't think it's going to be a major plot thread because it's probably going to be saved for book 7.
Sure.
But
yeah, Renarin's book.
It's Renarin's book, so maybe a little of that would be really interesting.
It feels wrong to talk about book 7 sometimes. I don't know,
yeah, it's crazy.
2 books away. Yeah, Venli is the one. If we're ready to move on to Venli, where I don't even know how she re-enters the plot. Like in my head, I'm like, when you said when you were reading, and they're like, oh yeah, the Venli. I'm like, well, she exists, and I would expect to see her, but I don't know how or why.
Yeah, I don't either.
I feel like Venli, to me, the way I think it's like she's not going to be necessarily doing much with like the main characters. It's going to be like maybe they get communication somehow of like this contest is happening in 10 days, and she's like, all right, like I want to try to like break away as many like singers infused with like Leshwi as I can before that happens.
And I mean, like, they are like a faction that wasn't included in that agreement, you know, between Dalinar and Odium. So that is kind of interesting when like they divided up all the lands in the world, and they're like, wait a minute, what about us? You know,
listeners not being included. What's new?
like maybe her thing is like setting up potential for like refugees if like things go poorly from Earthreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, the listener stuff is just so weird because like you would think that if we're going into like such a big core plot line that we wouldn't have just had them be like, yeah, I'm going back home, bye guys and stuff. But that's what Brandon wanted, and I just don't know why we would go back there.
And where are they going to be riding their chasm fiends to? We need answers on that front, Brandon. You cannot introduce that idea and never talk about it again. So at least not for
David. Chasm fiends versus thunderclasts.
That'd be cool.
That'd be sweet. We will see a thunderclast in the next book. That is what I'm saying.
See a thunderclast. Yes,
I think so.
And we have to. He has to have more than 2.
We have to know what thunderclasts are because that was very unclear in Oathbringer.
We're gonna see them ride. We're gonna ride our chasm fiends across the ocean to Ashen. We're gonna have another exodus. Like, sorry, we destroyed Roshar. We got to go back to the first planet.
Only we didn't kill so many chasm fiends in the first book.
Yeah. Oh, are we gonna? Now I'm thinking about it. Now that we're out west, this is Grace related too. So it's perfect that you're here. Are we gonna see sailors on the infinite sea that glow with light in their body?
Are we?
No, I think I truly believe that is like the setup to book 6. That's like going to be the inciting incident of the back half.
Okay.
Oh.
Or maybe like, yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. Do we think Moash is going to be there in Shinovar? I don't know how he'd get there, but
probably.
I kind of want Moash to show up, but in like a context separate from Kaladin. Like,
yeah.
Maybe Navani. That's the only other person that he has a connection to. Like, other than that, I don't really understand who cares about him.
I would be interested to see some Moash POVs of him communing with New Odium. That would be very interesting to me, and seeing that explored. Like, that could be a super interesting interlude through line, and like also give us glimpses into what the enemy is thinking, right?
Yeah.
So like that could be cool.
Yeah, I guess he could be with L. Like, if L's showing up, if L's a through line character, he could be with L. And it's like some sort of.
True too.
I think Moash L is where I'm leaning. I think that's like on the surface a very interesting dynamic of like the thing L admires most about humans is like their passion, and Moash is someone who is like very intentionally wants the numbness. I don't know. I just feel like there's some interesting.
And then the whole Vire thing. Like, L used to be Vire, and now it's Moash.
Yeah. They got to be together, right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. We're getting somewhere. We don't know what the main plot is, but we're getting somewhere. You know, I gotta admit, I don't know how Ishar's weird Spren experiments is going to have anything to do with anything in this book, but like it probably isn't going to be good.
My crack theory that I've like kind of landed on, which I don't think is like better or better proven by any of the evidence, is that I think he's trying to create fifth ideal radiance and shortcutting the process, and he's pulling Spren in to the physical realm. That still fits with my belief that fifth ideal Spren can just manifest in the physical realm. And he's like, I'll just pull him to the physical realm and then I'll bond him to somebody, and then we get a fifth ideal radiant. And that's like, he's going about it the wrong way, but he's kind of like in his madness trying to build himself an army.
Here, see, I think he's trying to do the Kelsier thing. I think he wants the same thing Kelsier does, of like they are both cognitive shadows and they want in the physical realm.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Like maybe we explore more of the Spren experiments, and like that's a thing Kaladin and Szeth are dealing with in Shinovar, maybe? Is it Shar's there? Maybe? Like that could work, potentially.
It feels like it'll continue. Like, I don't think he's going to stop whatever he was doing. So like when they encounter him, I'm sure he'll be further along or whatever with what he's trying. He might die too. He's one that I could see being killed.
Ishar?
Maybe. Like, they're going toe to toe with him, and I don't think he thinks he's the champion or the almighty. Like, he just feels like a big chaos factor that I don't know how to account for.
What if we get to the actual champion and it's like Dalinar versus Szeth starting to say face off, and then Ishar just flies in?
Honestly, that was exactly what I was thinking. Like, Ishar's just all over here, and he's just like, "Hey, what's up? I'm actually the champion." And
or long-standing theory that one of the heralds was bad all along, or fell to Odium at some point. Kaladin successfully fixes Ishar, and Ishar's like, "Oh man, I'm bad. I forgot." And then he is the enemy's champion, and then he would potentially have to die. That's a possibility.
That'd be cool.
He was an agent of Odium. He could still be an agent of Odium.
Yeah. That maybe leads us to talking about Contest of Champions. We haven't forgotten. This is a long show. There's a lot going on here. So yeah, Contest of Champions. Grace, thoughts? What do you think?
This I think was actually originally my theory, and I think it's spread a decent amount now. But I was always on the Szeth as Teravangian Odium's champion. Like, so much of Szeth's plotline has been about like Teravangian and being manipulated by him and like trying to fight back, and like just that dynamic that I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, also Szeth has Nightblood. Like, I think maybe either Teravangian like wants Nightblood to be used, or maybe there's something where like Szeth and Dalinar come to a secret agreement of like, okay, like I know I can't win this, but I don't want to be fused either. So like you're going to act as a double agent and kill me with Nightblood so that doesn't happen.
Oh, I like that.
It's true. Yeah.
Well, I like the theory a lot more than the other prevalent.
Oh, are you not fan of child champion theory?
I hate it.
You don't want Gavinor. You don't want Dalinar to have to murder Gavinor.
It could be Oradin.
That would be even worse. That would be worse than it be. I will stand by that. It'd be worse for Orden to die than it would be for Gavinor.
I feel like I've seen arguments of like Gavinor. It's like, well, maybe he's like angry at like his father being killed, and so that's like an avenue for him to be corrupted, and like it would be hard for Dalinar. Or it just doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
None of them do. I hate that theory. I'm
just saying we can't have a Kaladin sibling be alive. Come on, guys, that's unacceptable.
Take that back. He deserves some happiness.
He absolutely does deserve happiness. Yes.
The other theory I saw floating around, and it wasn't one that I necessarily abide by, but some people were saying that Taravangian could choose himself as his champion. It's not the most exciting idea in my mind, but I've always liked, and Taravangian doesn't have to choose himself as champion for the staff, but like the image of Dalinar getting to the rooftop and meeting Taravangian there and being like,
I do.
And then like behind Taravangian, like is the like maybe the actual champion, and then he Taravangian like vanishes, and then that's where Dalinar realizes that he's Odium.
Yeah,
I had this thought a long time ago as well. Yeah.
Like the whole shadow. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Do we think Dalinar will win?
I don't think it'll be a straightforward win if he does. I cannot see this ending being like a straightforward one of them wins and the deal goes ahead as like planned. I think there's going to be some trickery on one or both sides.
I've always thought this book is going to end badly. So I think Dalinar is going to lose.
Didn't like Taravangian in his like epilogue even go like, there's always a loophole, and then like he doesn't say the loophole that he found?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
no, it's like there's gonna be some trickery of like a loophole.
Yeah.
And like we know Roshar isn't in a good place from Lost Metal. And you have two happens between both halves of Stormlight. Like this isn't good. I don't think it's like the prevalent here, but like Roshar will be completely destroyed and they'll have to go somewhere else. No, I don't think that's it.
No.
But I do think it's going to be a battle.
Yeah. I wonder if we could see. So this is not exactly Contest of Champions related, but just like State of Roshar. If we learn why the Radiants were so afraid of like that surge binding would destroy the world, right? Like some reason as for that, like some very explosive use of surge binding, like that, like maybe that could be very cool.
Well, what about like let's say there's always that the choice of honor is death. Or whatever that rattle is. Like I can see him like maybe he goes too far to win. You know what I mean? Like he's drawn, like if anybody is going to be able to is kind of like pushing the bounds of what Radiants are capable of and are doing dangerous things, that person is Dalinar. I think that's pretty clear. Yeah. And so if he's like going all out in this Contest of Champions, maybe he's doing connection-y things that he shouldn't be in an effort to win, and then he creates other problems downstream from that.
Okay. I was also thinking like maybe in the Kaladin Ishar face off, some explosive use of surge binding there with Ishar potentially. Ishar blew up Ashen, so it's in character.
Who knows what's going on with him and his shard blade and what he's capable of, just summoning perpendicularities now.
As you do, right? Easy peasy.
Navani should give it a crack and see what she can do, I guess.
True. So, but Grace, do you think so? Victory, but not straightforward victory, like high cost.
Either like victory, but not either victory, but it's not straightforward and it comes at a high cost, or it's like a loss in an unexpected way.
Sure.
That they didn't see coming. One of the two.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And that's how I envision Dalinar going to exile in my head. Like if he lives, I see him being like, I failed, I'm out a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, how does he?
I just want to reread the terms of that agreement to see if I can find the loophole. That's gonna be a thing for after the podcast ends.
Yeah, probably.
I'm gonna literally be pouring through this, like being like, so what's the loophole? What's in Terra?
It's a big chapter there for sure.
It does seem like it should be discernible, though, because it would be it'd be annoying for it to be like, well, actually, in the section where Wit set himself up as envoy that we didn't see, like there's well, that sucks.
There's no reason. Yeah, I'm sure it is written in the contract.
I am literally going to pull up the contract wording and pull up our Death Battles page and like cross-reference if I can find any hints.
Very good. Very good. We've kind of gone through the possible deaths. We've gone through like each character is like live or death. So we kind of did that.
Yeah,
I think Kaladin Szeth versus Syl Kaladin.
Yeah. If one of them's gonna die, who do you think's gonna die? Syl or Kaladin?
So I just, in general, think we have to see a important spread death this book.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably gonna be Syl, but like I just can't imagine like Anti-Light being introduced last book, and then it's like, and none of the beloved Spren actually die.
Yeah,
I would rather.
The Faildrama was the only casualty of Anti-Light.
Oh my god, no! I would rather Kaladin die than have Syl die and him live. Like 100%. I don't think he could handle it. I think that I could not see Kaladin tipped over into turmoil one more time.
That is true. Syl dying would set Kaladin back really far, like in that emotional aspect and like his depression, that like it might not even be fun to deal with or read. Like I do like making characters suffer, but Kaladin has suffered plenty, but I'm sure Brandon can find new ways to do that. Syl dying would be pretty brutal. I do agree.
Make it.
Anti-Light is very deadly. I'm worried about the Honor Spren who agreed to bond Radiance. I don't know how that's going to be involved either, but I'm sure it's super fun. It's like, hey guys, we're here to bond Radiance. Oh yeah, you're all dead from Anti-Light. That's fun.
Yeah, I could see something of like either Pattern dies and then like Shallan is still a Lightweaver through Testament, or like there's a moment of like Pattern is going to die and then Testament like steps between in her final moments of like lucidity.
That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, I can buy that. And that's a great thing. If you kill one of Pattern or Testament, then they still radiant. So easy peasy, right?
Nice. Yeah, and Pattern has always said, "You're gonna kill me, Shallan." Maybe he will be right after all.
Maybe he will be right. That'd actually be kind of cool, though, right? That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, I feel like I would rather just. So I feel like we're learning a lot about which spread we like most on this episode. Oh my god! I would rather Syl die than Pattern.
Oh my god! No, just get out of another math pun. I do it for just that. Just that.
No. Well, so I would say like it's not that like Shallan is breaking the oaths for Pattern, but just maybe making a decision, maybe like Pattern assents and they're like, yeah, this is the right call. And then Shallan like uses Pattern in some way and like needs to sacrifice Pattern, some anti-light thing. I don't know.
With him to live for one more moment so she can get Bottom Ishram.
Nightblood being involved with Bottom Ishram is that's
that'd be too many. That'd be too many. Maybe that'd be a good idea. Just get that gemstone.
that would break open the gemstone. I think. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that's what you do when you find it. But
easy peasy. Yeah, nice. Though I mean, it's a gem. Like you couldn't you just stab it with like anything? I don't know.
I mean, I feel like she's probably big. Like I think you need like a lot of anti-void blight if that were the case.
Yeah.
And I mean it worked on Odium, so I feel like it could probably work theoretically on a smaller than Odium thing.
Yeah.
But
I think the thing with Syl is that Syl really is having a character arc. And I really want her to be pulled into the physical realm with the shower. I need that. I think that'd be cool.
I feel like if that happens, she'll just live though, because I feel like he's getting closer to pulling in. Like he's getting more successful, and I feel like the notes were indicating that he was like the Windspren seem like, the Honor-Spren seem like the good ones. Like, for whatever reason,
who would have guessed that the ones that look more humanoid and not have like random twisted shapes in their bodies would be more successful in the physical realm?
Sometimes you got to do some experiments to confirm the obvious. Okay,
we've got the Cryptics as the control group over here.
Yeah, I would rather Syl live and Pattern dies. Yeah, I do find Pattern extremely funny. But I think it just sets Kaladin too far back if Syl dies. But certainly in these Kaladin chapters, it sure doesn't sound like everyone's gonna live. That is for sure.
If Hoyd gives that speech and then like everybody makes it, you're gonna be like, well, what was the point of this?
And to be clear, Kaladin says, you're talking like you think one of us won't survive this. And Hoyd says, I wish I were optimistic enough to think one of us would survive. So I was like, oh, that's good. Nice. I like that.
I like the next part most, where it's like, Kaladin's like, aren't you immortal? And Hoyd is like, immortal's not all it's cracked up to be. And I just expect him to be like, I mean, I am immortal. You're not. One of us won't survive this.
Yeah.
Hoyd.
So there's something in this Kaladin chapter that I find very interesting, because it ties back to a theory that I had like post Oathbringer that like I don't remember who, I think it was Argent on the podcast said he thought it was a stretch, but like I'm clearly right.
And Argent's not here to say no.
I'm just not here to say no.
Yeah, so it's like I don't remember if it was Argent, but I think it's I think
probably
that seems pretty believable. That seems plausible for sure.
Yeah, so Hoyd tells him, listen, I think you can rise to this, probably. Difficult though it will be. You're up for a different kind of challenge now, as am I. You're going to have to learn to play music, Kaladin, without using your breath or voice or your lips. And then later it says like, when Kaladin's like, well, stop being so cryptic. And he's like, you'll win when you don't play music with your own breath and when you fight without your own muscles. Play the flute, but don't. And fight, but don't. So I don't know what the fight, but don't part is, and we can maybe talk about that when we're done.
I actually think I do know.
Also interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But the play music, but like don't breathe and don't use your lips is like, to me, is like clearly talking about the idea that humans on Roshar are like reaching the point, especially maybe it's a fifth ideal radiant thing, but I think it's like humans have been around on Roshar long enough that like they're starting to have a connection where they can hear the rhythms. And so there's this quote from Oathbringer chapter 99 that where Kaladin is in Shadesmar and he's looking out at the Shadesmar Ocean. It's actually like the very start of that chapter. And it's when Kaladin awoke on the ship in Shadesmar, the others were already up. He sat bleary-eyed on his bunk, listening to beads crash outside the hall. There almost seemed a pattern, or maybe a rhythm to them, or was he just imagining things? And it's like, I think there's maybe like one or two other similar quotes, but it's like, to me, that's like a moment where it's like his connection to the planet was reaching a point where he can like start to hear the rhythms. And I think that's what Hoyd is saying here. Like, if you want to win, like, you need to hear the rhythms yourself.
I believe that with the fighting part, I think that could just be referring to fighting Ishar, but not physically, like on this more like mental or spiritual aspect type thing, where like there's some final showdown, but the showdown isn't with like swords, right? I think that's believable. I don't know how the music's related to that or rhythms. Like I like the rhythm thought, Grace. I just don't know how that has anything to do with anything, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea, Grace. And ever since Navani kind of was talking, she makes this point in Rhythm of War where she's saying, like, Raboniel is saying, well, you're not really, like, I'm a child of Rashar, you're not, like, I hear the rhythms. And Navani's like, oh, we've been, like, like, what the heck? I was born here, like, what do you mean? And it's always felt a little odd to me, and she's kind of right, but it's odd to me that they haven't managed to hear the rhythms yet, because it seems like everything else on Rashar has some natural connection. We see it in the hybrid peoples like the Umkalaki. And I'm like, what hasn't clicked there where that connection hasn't been made? And if Kaladin is doing something that causes that to happen, that could be pretty cool.
We need to free Biodomishram.
Maybe. We don't know what she's spren of. It's been unclear.
That's been unclear.
Wild idea. Fight, but don't use your muscles, right?
Okay.
So it's pulled into the physical realm, and then she summons a Kaladin blade. Right?
Not Adolin blade, Kaladin blade.
Don't use your muscles.
Nice. Good. Very good.
That's actually what you get for being a fifth idea. The spread could summon their radiance of the shark blade.
Yeah. That's a one for sure. Do we have other things to... So we've talked about who's going to die. We talked about champions. We talked about all the people. I think it's a great time to go back to the classic conversation since the Stormlight 5 prologue came out. Stormfather or Stormfaker? Is that guy the real Stormfather or not? Thoughts? Have our opinions changed? Because I think in that podcast we were like, that's the Stormfather.
That's the Stormfather. That in my mind, like, we know that he had a bond with Gavilar. Who else would this be? You know? Yeah, I just think that we have seen like one specific side of the Stormfather, and it's been a surprisingly friendly side for a guy who just wanted to kill everybody in Words of Radiance. So,
It's true.
you know, there's depths here, and he is not exactly, I don't think necessarily the ally that everybody thinks he is. Like, I could see him operating in a space much more similar to Hoyd, where he's got goals that we don't necessarily know anything about. And Dalinar is a means to an end, and Gavilar was a means to an end.
Yeah. I hate the idea of Stormfaker less.
Okay.
But that's the Stormfather. I think there's just more complexity than people expect of the Stormfather. And Brandon, there was a word of Brandon where Brandon was asked about it. I was like, yes, that's very interesting, isn't it? So clearly something's going on. And I think it would be interesting to see what the Stormfather's actual plans are, right? Because it's clear in the prologue that he had plans. And it's unclear what his motivations are, really. And so that's a thing I want explored. And I think it has to be the real Stormfather. Sorry, Stormfaker fans.
Not being the Stormfather, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm like, who could fake being the Stormfather in such a way that...
there's been lots of theories to make this work.
Well, yes, but I don't know, that doesn't seem really plausible. Though then again, I've skimmed most of like Neo Cosmere and Cosmere Mechanics and all those channels.
Oh, there was someone on Reddit.
Don't really know.
You need a Shar to just do some crazy stuff, and then that solves all your problems, really, because you can all do all sorts of interesting things. Some people actually thought that person was a Shar as the Stormfather. There's some interesting things.
That's interesting. I in my head, like, the concept that the Stormfather is not who we thought he was is much more interesting than Gavilar being tricked by an entity we don't know anything about in the past. Like, that doesn't feel like a surprise to me. You're just like, oh, okay, I guess he was being led along by the nodes by this Unmade or whoever this other being is. But one of our characters, Spren, really being a traitor in some way, or like really having their own goals, like that was teased with Pattern a little bit in Rhythm of War with Shallan, where we thought he might be his own, like an independent Ghostblood agent. And I thought that was a really cool idea, and was kind of sad that it wasn't that way. So
that's a very good point. And like the Stormfather he doesn't often like to tell people things. And so like that could be related to the Recreance stuff, because like the Stormfather did not want to tell about the Radiance and the Recreance, like at all, ever. Until like it came out in Oathbringer and he said a bit, right? But
we know now he's left out information, you know, like he never said, oh, the Spren were involved too. They and the Radiance decided. Like, he gave Dalinar like a nugget to like shut him up about the Recreance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like there could be secrets there that he's keeping.
My memory doesn't work super well. I can't tell you much.
Honestly, that could just be straight up a lie. Yeah. And honestly, if he didn't swear to tell the truth, then he's not bound by honor to do it. Come on. He doesn't have to say the truth. You only have to do that if that's a promise or like he breaks promises. So he never said that necessarily. So
do you think there's some like equivalent of like if you like cross your fingers behind your back, then it doesn't really count of like, well, that's a rule greater than any oath I'm swearing, so I can just cross my fingers.
I mean, also, well, okay. I know that's a silly question, but I'm going to give you a serious answer.
No, I mean it sort of seriously, and that's like the best parallel I can think of.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I would say if you don't intend it, capital I, then it doesn't work. Right? Like you have to make the oath with intent. Right?
But I would say that I don't think that like a shard can enter into a contract and trick somebody in that way. Like I do think that like, you know, when the shards were, I mean, I guess I could be wrong, but I feel like if there's no way to verify that the other shard has been bound by this agreement and they can just not intend and it's not detectable if they haven't actually made this agreement by the other party, then what's the point of any of these rules, you know? Then you can't.
I would say a shard can know magically like what is happening with the power, and I think if it didn't have sufficient intent, then it just wouldn't go through at all. Like I don't think you could say it's like, oh yeah, I totally agree to this, fingers crossed, and like it just wouldn't apply. Like maybe a human wouldn't, but
yeah, like I think it'd be easier to like do that with a human and they wouldn't realize that had been what happened. Like kind of like what happened with the princes of Yakaved, you know, where they were like, they all had agreements with Odium, but they're like, we're going to kill him. Don't worry about it.
Sure.
But yeah, I do think that they need to have a way to know that this is taken.
I guess this is more a question on like the nature of shards in like a future episode. But like if you make a deal, like, okay, like, well, we can make deals with each other, but like we can like say this code word somewhere in the deal, and then the deal is invalidated on our side, and like that is a binding deal. Does that actually work going forward?
I don't think that works. I think the power just wouldn't operate. And I am always very interested to know if you break an oath that would leave like open to a weakness. How? What does that mean? You know?
Yeah. What does it mean to exploit that?
Yeah. I want to see that.
We may. Do we think it's weird that the Stormfather is a liar or no? That's what I feel like is more the interesting question, because like Syl like will not tell a lie, you know, but but Pattern is fine with it. And so I'm like, by his nature, is it strange that he is a liar? Like, does that hint at something being off with him? Like, is there some other essence involved? Like or is it just that he, you know, he's his own spren, he's a powerful being, Bondsmith's spren have no particular compunction against lying, and he's good to go?
Could be just one of those things where Stormfather has certain objectives that are very important to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, it would be so bad and wrong to reveal those things that the right thing to do is lie. Right? And if you have...
He's an elf-colored spread.
Well, I mean...
But like a little bit, like that's kind of their perspective, and I could see that being a thing too.
I mean...
They're more means to an end. I
think that's the thing. If you have this idea of, no, it's right because... like not because of the law, but from like innate feeling for that. The sort of the flaw is you can. What does that mean, right? Like there isn't
anything.
Yeah,
kind of, and like each spren probably has a little bit different idea of what that means, and maybe it's just a thing where Stormfather's like, yeah, this was the honorable thing to do, and yeah, you should be thanking me because otherwise I'll be dead. You know, like I'm doing you a favor, really, and just justifying that. A lot of humans do that. I can see why people say that is like, oh, if he's a spren of honor, then like, what the hell, man? Like, I do get that, but I'm always of the opinion. I absolutely do not agree with Dalinar that the difference between humans and like beasts is just keeping oaths. Totally disagree, Dalinar. Not at all. And I could go into that. That's such a stupid philosophy. Just because you made a promise doesn't make... keeping promises doesn't mean it's inherently good, right? Like if you get tricked into a bad deal, is breaking that promise bad? I honestly, I would probably not say so. Like if an abusive partner like forces you to agree to a thing, I don't think you should be held to that deal. I don't think there's anything morally wrong with that, right? So just because you made a deal, I just don't agree with the honor philosophy. Odium is not nice for sure, but I definitely see why the Fused are like, he only cares if oaths are kept. He does not care about anything else. And I think that is problematic inherently. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see like Dalinar has such an extreme like pro honor way of looking at that blows up in his face.
Yeah, I think from just like a perspective of like how Spren work, it doesn't really surprise me that the Stormfather can lie, because I feel like just from a real world analogy is like it comes from like personifying nature and personifying traits. And like if you look at how humans have historically created like pantheons of gods, like someone like Zeus was like the personification of the storm, and he like lied in all the time and it was like capricious and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a little different on like Roshar, the magical stuff, but I don't think it's necessarily a stretch.
That's actually a really good point, right? Because the Stormfather is like sliver of Tanavas, like this honor thing, right? But that's not what he always was, right? Like storms, like there's like a storm side, and then there's like an honor side, and like there's it's kind of odd.
It's interesting also because I feel like the storms are often like portrayed as like very capricious, very like So it's not. It would be interesting to sort of look at like how those two sides of him break down, and what is actually stronger and what comes from like what part of him.
The storm aspect is like, I do what I must because I am this, and I don't really care about what's good. It's just like, I'm a storm. I'm gonna do this thing. And like, if the Stormfather like thinks, no, this is the right thing to do, like he's not going to care about good, right? Like that's sort of the thing with the Stormfather. He does not care about those sorts of things. And so if he thinks something's very important, he's just not going to tell it. And I think the Stormfather's correct. Gavilar, super sketchy. I'm pro lying to Gavilar. I think that's a good call, buddy.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff about like what is honor and what is odium and like what is growth and cultivation. That's the sort of magical metaphysics stuff that I really like. Like, what do these aspects of divinity mean?
What do they actually mean?
Stuff. Yeah.
The typical Shardcast question.
Yeah, but really though, right? And just seeing characters live with those consequences. I love that.
Anything else?
Any other thoughts?
Kaladin are gonna be fine, but they're gonna be single at the end of this.
Is that a prediction or what you just hope?
I need to burn a prayer is what I need.
Like, do we have any quick thoughts on what we think the state of the world will be after this book ends? I feel like we didn't.
Okay, yeah. I mean, not blown up. I do really like that idea of some big surge binding event that like maybe there's like a giant crater and like some things are just destroyed. Like that's sweet.
Like a near second action. Like they don't quite do it.
Yeah. Like I kind of dig that.
I think it's probably going to be a lot harder to get on and off Roshar after this, before book 6 at least, like in that interval. I mean, at least that's what Lost Metal hints to me. Like, I think it's so possible, but it's not going to be as easy as it was before.
Yeah, which is interesting because where except for Roshar are there so many different potential places you could cross in from the cognitive realm? Like that to me is like, I don't know, does the barrier storm like move off of Braze to Roshar and kind of
maybe
walk in that sub-astral? Like more? Like I don't really know.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it from a cultivation perpendicularity aspect. Is cultivation leaving?
That would be wild.
Like, because like if there's a stable perpendicularity, I mean, you can get there.
She leave?
I mean, I don't even know if she can. Yeah. I mean, you can fortify the perpendicularity, right? Like that's a thing you can do and make it hard to do, but that doesn't mean it's, I don't know. Maybe just the Ghost Bloods wouldn't want it.
The other accents points.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll see in Horneater what happens with that perpendicularity, and then
yeah, that's true. I forgot about that book.
Yeah, there's another secret book coming before this, or maybe after, probably after.
Yeah. But I guess it's the perpendicularity in every Oathgate, though. Right? Because the Oathgate's transition.
I mean, Oathgates are easier to seal. You just gotta have Navani be like, hey, like...
Okay, sure.
I guess you'd have to maybe go to the cities. But like, we've unsealed the Oathgates. We can seal them again. I'm not worried about those.
Why would they want to, though? Like, what's in Shadesmar that they don't? Like, why wouldn't they want to not be in Shadesmar anymore?
Like
maybe Bod Amishram is in Shadesmar and she's just
okay. All right.
Like, so maybe it's like the refugees of Honor's forces flee to Shadesmar and like seal everything up behind them so they can't be followed. I don't know how well that would work because I feel like the fused probably can get to Shadesmar easier than humans can.
Hopefully they brought someone to grow food with. That would be my concern.
I was just like thinking an Odium victory that it's just like it's just really bad for whatever reason and you just need to seal them. I don't know.
When you see like an Odium victory, do you see them losing the tower again? Like how complete of a victory do you think? Okay.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
It is.
But... Okay, I'll have to look up. I'll have to reread the contract to see if I can find the loophole. But like, was it maybe like a supposed? Well, I guess I don't know if this would necessarily seem inherently bad though, but it does seem like Teravangian style of like make it seem like Honor has won, but like do something where you can still influence things.
All right. Well, that was exciting. So let's get on over to who's that Cosmere character.
This character is from Roshar.
Menace. Tien.
Tom.
Raise.
Void in drag on a horse.
It's time for who's that Cosmere character. Caw.
Hello, everyone. You know how the game is played. You send a character with 5 corresponding clues to wtcc at 17shard.com. I read each clue aloud, and after each one, our contestants have a chance to guess who's that Cosmere character. Let's begin. All right, this first one was sent in by Roberto.
Okay.
Clue 1. This character works a dangerous job.
Raise.
It is not Raise.
What about Dalit? Because he's by Kaladin, and that's a dangerous job no matter what.
True.
It is not Dalit.
Okay.
I mean, I guess Vin, because like she's impersonating a noble. That's very dangerous.
Or just assassin.
Not Vin. Yeah.
Yeah, assassin's another good one.
Clue 2. This character has not met Hoyd.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
What about, I'm going to guess a Lend.
It is not a Lend.
Okay.
Yeah, Arrow 1's pretty good, isn't it?
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of like boxing out like every main Stormlight character.
yeah. I mean, that's certainly true. And honestly, like potentially a lot of world hoppers too, you know?
Yeah, I know. Well, I was thinking about like Felt, and I'm like, well, if he could have,
it's possible.
Ham?
It is not Ham.
No, Kelsier specifically did meet Hoyd. That doesn't work at all. Yeah, he specifically did.
Gonna be
Hoyd.
Yep.
Well, Kelsier's talking to Shadow met Hoyd. Maybe Kelsier never did. No, he did because he was alive when it happened. When he met him as the informant. Damn.
Yeah. Let's go with Goradel. I think Mistborn Arrow 1's a good tactic here, but watch it be like Taldane or some crap.
Oh,
like you can pick like you can pick a lot of Taldane characters.
Clue 3. This character takes good care of their pets.
6th of the Dusk?
Multiple pets.
It is 6th of the Dusk.
I thought
Also, though, how many people have pets in the Cosmere? Yeah, like not that many. Wow.
And all the other ones are on Roshar to have met Hoyd, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know if non-Balat, but he doesn't take good care.
He doesn't take good care of his pets.
Look,
I would dispute
sorry,
that.
Does not take care
I
of
was
his
just
pets.
saying who has pets, and like that's a short list.
Anymore.
Like,
Not
I was thinking,
anymore.
like, you could argue maybe like Adolin with his Rhyshadium.
Yeah. I'd say that
yeah.
probably counts. Yeah, for sure.
Risen with Cheery.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Clue
Main
4
character. Mm-hmm.
was this character has visions. And clue 5 was this character is not talkative.
Yeah.
Good one.
Good one. I like that.
I feel like you could switch some of those around to make it harder.
Yeah. I feel like the pets one is probably like the one you should do last, honestly. Yeah. Not enough pets.
All right.
We need some kitty cats in the Cosmere. That's my thought.
I was thinking about the ghost blood dog, and then I was like, but there's only one. There's not multiple ghost blood pets that I'm aware of.
Also, when was that one even sent in? Was it even after Lost Metal?
Tough to say.
Probably not.
Well, one
Alright.
to Eric.
This next one was sent in by Ashes AE. Clue 1. This character is male.
Goradel. Let's go. Maybe one of these.
It is not Goradel.
Because I had him on my mind. I mean, between prologue and just the name. I mean, Nail.
It is not Nail.
I'm gonna guess Kaladin.
It is not Kaladin.
Damn.
Clue 2. This character has at least one sibling.
Tien.
It is Tien.
Oh! What? Actually, the reason why I host Who's That Cosmere character when Grace and Ben isn't here is just because I'm too good.
Oh, yeah. Ian 2.0 over here. This sucks.
Wow.
Okay.
I was gonna guess Ellen.
Clue 3 was
Avalar.
Clue 3 was this character has served in an army. Clue 4, this character is dead. And clue 5, this character is from Roshar.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna call that dumb luck, Eric, because I don't know if we could have landed on
Yeah.
for that. But
I think I'm a god, actually. I think that's really what. Like, I tap fortune. Bide a Mishram gives me a lot of help. Okay.
She whispers answers in your ear, just as she spoke into Lindavar's ear all those years ago.
All right. Now we're going to go to a Who's That Cosmere character priority queue. And this one is sent by Psycho. And if you want to send your Who's That Cosmere character priority queues and get things answered sooner, I have plenty now. After I said I need more of these, I do in fact have plenty of these. So so you can support us on Patreon for our Herald tier at $10, and we really appreciate it. It's a small bonus to you, but yeah, we love to see it. Clue 1.
And it helps us fund all the cool things.
Yeah, like lights and things. Like I like them.
Which I transfer it, lady.
Yeah. Well, the problem is shipping to the country you're in is non-trivial to get the technology that I want to get to
Not
you,
trivial.
especially if it's big. And yeah, because I'm doing this one, maybe you guys have a shot. I can't believe I got both of them. I'm sorry. that was pure luck.
We can get it, Eric.
Yeah. That's never happened before. Clue 1. This character is not physically fit.
I feel like that's actually a pretty tough start.
Yeah.
Who is the guy who... Is it Ahan who betrays Duke Royale and Elantris?
That is a character, and so you've identified a character. Is that your guess?
That is my guess. Yes.
It's not, but I actually really like that guess. That's a good one.
I mean, going with the Elantris theme, before, like for most of the book, Raoden.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah, that's a valid. Yeah, sure, valid. No, it's not Raoden.
Oh man, I don't want to just guess a Lunchrians. I feel like that's not going to be who it is. I will go with Taravangian.
It's not
No,
Taravangian.
He's an old man.
He's an old man.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore. Well, I mean,
he's old now. He's immortal.
yeah, no. Clue 2. This character is a nobleman.
What about Breeze?
It is Breeze. Hell
He was
yeah.
my second guess. I was like, if the second clue applies to him, we're going for it.
Very good. Very good.
Wow.
Clue 3. We're really keeping the time on this episode short, so good job, Ball. We nailed it. Clue 3. This character likes to study people. Clue 4. This character is in a shocking relationship. And clue 5. This character is a coward. I like those. That's a nice one.
I mean, honestly, short of like the Elantrians who are all like magically can't like be healed from injuries, they're not physically fit, narrows it down a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're Sabarial. Like, there's a few.
Yeah.
There's not that many.
Yeah. I think that's just the fact of Brandon likes action scenes, and you kind of need, athletic sort of fighter people. And so we don't see too many of those who, aren't that. Well, thank you all for watching this episode. You can find us on 17shard.com for all your news, discussion, theories, and fun that you could ever want. Presumably, there's been more Stormlight 5 news since we recorded this. Probably.
Probably.
We've probably already done podcasts about them if there's big news, realistically. But yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube. You can support us on Patreon. You don't have to be a herald. You can support us as little as $1. So that's pretty cool. You get access to a lot of extra content, sometimes some stuff ahead of time. Don't know if we're doing that when this currently airs. I don't know. But that, there's behind the scenes stuff. There's art polls. I mean, we put span reads out a little early, right? I just don't know when this is coming up. So there's bonus stuff for you. And yeah, I don't know what the next episode is. So you'll just have to see next. So
there's no way of
absolutely no way of knowing.
But it'll be good. You will enjoy it. It'll be
the half shards episode. We'll finally know what the half shards are.
That's what'll tide you over to Stormlight 5. Half shards. The debate. See you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Ah.